Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Timmy Gibson Show. I'm getting ready to call Pame for our talk on sex and intimacy. Let's give Pame a call here.
Good morning.
Pame, welcome to the Timmy Gibson Show.
Whoop, whoop.
Woo woo! How you doing, girl?
I'm good. I'm sitting in my living room watching the Netflix Birchwood Fireplace. Have you watched that?
Oh,
Where it's
yes, it's the
just a
fireplace.
fireplace.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And you can almost feel the heat from it, can't you?
You kind of can. Yeah.
I do that. I do all those too.
It's beautiful, and I don't know. It's kind of a slow morning for me, so I'm just enjoying the flames and my cup of coffee, and
Ooh, me too.
yeah, looking forward to this conversation.
I know. I have on so my routine in the morning is I get up and I turn on YouTube, and through YouTube I'll do one of those, like I'll do a fireplace, or I'll do some kind of a meditation music, or I'll do, like right now I'm watching Morning in Paris. And it's all these different pictures of Paris while this very Paris-y type music is playing. It's
that sounds really neat.
Pammy, seriously, it's delightful. It's delightful. I just
Awesome.
I love it. It just sets the mood and the tone in my apartment, and then I, make my coffee and I journal or read, and I've been taking lots of notes because we're talking about sex and intimacy. Oh my gosh, it's going to get hot up in here.
Do you have an entire journal filled out already?
Oh, 2 journals. By the way, everybody, this is your fair warning. If you've got kids in the car, you should put your headphones on, because there's no stone that will be left unturned. We will be digging in to every orifice of the topic of sex. Literally, there's not a thing we won't talk about in this podcast, which I think is necessary. I was raised in a culture, and I think you and I share this, sex. My parents didn't give me the birds and the bees. The only thing I ever heard was, don't have sex. Don't even think about it, and stop touching yourself, and wait till you're married.
Yeah.
That was my, and not that that's no reflection on my parents. That's it whatever. I mean, that's, it wasn't their fault. I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying that was kind of the culture. No one sat down and said, except at school, but like, this is a penis, that's the clitoris, that's the labia, that's the inner lips, outer lips. If you want to stimulate I didn't know shit. My first time to have sex was in the backseat of a car on Valentine's Day back in 1987. And I could take you literally to the spot where I was, and I was in the back seat, and she jumped over on me, and she was not lubricated. It was dry and nasty, and not, I mean, she wasn't nasty, but it was just like, it wasn't pleasurable. I didn't orgasm. I mean, the next day we skipped out on lunch, and we were like, let's try that again.
Not in the backseat of a car.
Exactly. And it was much better. But I don't think I ever even thought, I don't think I ever had the thought, I want to make her orgasm.
Yeah.
Until.
But not at that age.
No. Yeah. I'm trying to think, when would that have happened? It wouldn't have happened until marriage. I don't think, I don't think. Now, did I make them orgasm? Maybe. I just don't even remember that even being something that I knew was important to happen. I just knew that, I keep going in and out. Eventually I'm going to come, and that's what matters.
Right. Purely selfish motivation there, which is, I think that's pretty typical for teenage, sexual experiences. Is it isn't a give and take. It's
not about pleasing someone else per se.
Right. And I have no experience with that. As I've mentioned before, I was a virgin when I got married, and that was the expectation of the religious background that I grew up in. And not that all of my friends were virgins when they got married, but I knew that for me, that was the expectation. And so I had no experience at all. And the only thing I remember was our church had recommended a specific book about sex, and I read it, and I think our the leader of our church actually wrote a book about sex, but
Huh.
it was so geared toward procreation. I mean, they talked about orgasm, but it was one way, like missionary style, like there was one way to orgasm, or for a man to get a woman to orgasm. I'll tell you what, it never worked on me. Like I, whatever they were trying to tell you was supposed to happen didn't happen.
Interesting.
And so
So when, I mean, I'm not asking for a date, but like, so a year into your marriage, like at what point did you finally ever orgasm?
it had to have been within the first year. I honestly don't recall.
Because you were how old when you got married?
I was 20.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't know anything. I really didn't know anything, and I didn't. The expectation. It was pretty high. I felt a little pressure, to make it happen.
Yeah.
But of course, the more you try to make something happen, it doesn't always go. It goes.
Oh yes. Then you get into your
As you said.
head, like
Yes.
literally, it's
Yes.
like, yeah. You know what's
Yeah.
funny? It's you tell me. Oh, please this thought come back. Okay, I got it back. Here's a difference between men and women, and I'm curious if this is true, Pammy. So I'm kind of asking you and telling you about
Mhm.
men. When we talk about sex, when I say, man, I don't know if I've really ever had quote unquote bad sex. I mean, that's not
Mhm.
entirely true. Like I've had better sex. I've had, better blowjobs, better kissing, but like clearly I've had where it's been not so good and not whatever. But when you orgasm, it just makes everything right in the world. It's like that's the goal. So the kissing wasn't so great, that wasn't so great, that wasn't so great, but once it happens and then you orgasm, it's like you forget about everything
Mhm.
that led up to it and you're just like, "Oh, that was awesome."
Yes.
I mean, it just like
Yes.
makes everything go away. Tell me if this is true or not. So for a man, if I was to have sex with a woman, yes, it feels good. And if I've had sex and then they're like, 10 minutes later, they're wanting to do it again, which it depends on, for me personally, it just depends how aroused and attracted I am to someone. There are some women, last year I had a situation where, met someone and we got intimate and I was a one and done. As soon as I orgasmed, I like went to sleep and woke up the next morning and did it again and that was it. Then I've had other situations where it was like 7, 8 times through the night and I was so aroused, so turned on, so whatever. I was like, what is going on? Like I'm 21 again. And then there's other times I'm like, yep, I'm 52.
Mhm.
You know,
Yes.
they're like,
Yeah.
nope. I remember one time last year, this woman, like, 10 minutes after, she goes, you ready to go again? And I looked at her, I said, no, I can't. Like, no, like, it's going to be an hour, maybe, like, or more. And she goes, well, can I touch it and see?
Oh.
Which I thought was cute. I mean, I thought that was cute. She was really she was like all eager to do it again. And I know my body. So I knew that,
Mhm.
like, no, like literally you're going to touch it and nothing's going to happen. And that's a little embarrassing for me,
Yeah.
like like, no, it's not, but I can tell you when I know it can, like I can feel the tickle down there and know, oh yeah, if you touch it now, we'll be good. Anyway, so here's my question. It's early. I haven't had all my coffee yet. Is sex enjoyable if you don't orgasm? Sorry, man, that took for fucking ever to get to.
Yeah,
Does a woman
that
enjoy
was a long
sex
road.
without an orgasm?
Yes. I believe you can.
That confirms
I
what I've
do.
heard.
Yes, I do. Yes, and I do. And sometimes the most enjoyable part is getting him to orgasm.
Hmm.
And just the fun that you can have during the experience. And it doesn't have to end. For me, it doesn't always have to end in orgasm. Do I want it to? Of course. But if it doesn't, I can, the experience itself, as long as it's a good experience, is plenty.
See, men and women are different there,
So,
Pammy, because for me, it would just be frustrating. And I've had it happen where
yeah.
for whatever reason, I couldn't orgasm. And maybe it was me. I'm sure sometimes it was me. But most of the time it wasn't. It was something that, they were doing, or something about the way, the shape, the feel, I'm sure same, right? All dicks, penises, how do you say that correctly? Are, they're all different shapes and sizes, and all that, right? Vaginas are the same. They're all shaped different and feel different, clearly. you know
Yes.
yeah, we can maybe have a conversation about that too, maybe some things that women could do to help keep that tight and right and all that. But and then men need to learn skills and things too, so we'll get into all of that. But that's fascinating. So yeah, men and women are definitely different, because if I have sex, yeah, it feels good, but without the orgasm, it's just like, I wouldn't say it was a good experience. Like, I wouldn't say, "Oh, yeah, that was
Yeah.
so fun. We rolled around in the sheets and she orgasmed 3
Yeah.
times and I never orgasmed." I would be like, "No." Like, that's not, that doesn't, no. And that I would be so curious if other men would say the same thing, but for men,
Well,
again, it's the orgasm.
but I've heard, and I've had experiences where a man has not orgasmed and yet said it was great,
He was
and
lying.
I don't know if
No,
it was a, it's, yeah, were they lying? But they were, they could not get to that point, even though we had tried everything. But they were okay with it, because they had had a good time, or they
yeah,
had, they enjoyed it. And I dated someone who didn't always orgasm, and but it was always great.
yeah,
And and he was okay with that.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I don't
now
know. I mean, I
if
think in
every
every
guy's
human
different.
being is, and every woman is different. So I'm not speaking for all women. Um, is sex better with an orgasm? Absolutely.
Yeah,
But it can still be good sex without an orgasm for me.
yeah.
But
I would say this for me, if I have multiple, like multiple, if I have sex multiple times with the same woman at the same night or whatever, if I if I reach orgasm on the first one, yes, then if the second time I don't reach orgasm, it's still awesome.
mhm,
Um, but not if I don't orgasm at all. For me, there's just something about the the orgasm just like seals the deal and makes it
mhm.
just like, oh my gosh, this feeling is literally the best feeling in the world. If you could sell a pill that when you pop the
Yeah.
pill, it makes you orgasm, Pammy, we should try to
Oh
create that,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
we would be richer than fucking
Oh, no kidding.
what's his face, Elon. I mean, we would be unbelievably wealthy if, like, hey, just take this
Yeah.
pill and it'll do it.
It'll do it.
So here's a little secret I would say to women, and I'm all over the place, and this is how the podcast goes. It's the same
Yes.
topic and we just go all over. One of the things that I would say to women, if you're with someone and they struggle to orgasm, I mean, clearly, ask and inquire, but try new things. I remember one time I was having trouble orgasming for whatever reason. I can't remember what it was. Now, I mean, this was like last year, right after my divorce is when I was wild. I'm not like that anymore. So, and she reached under and cupped my my balls and boom.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, what just happened? Touching my butt. Now, I'm not in, for whatever reason, I'm just not like, don't put your finger in my butt. Like, I'm just not like,
Yeah.
that's just not my thing. It's just not. Now, you can touch around there for sure, put pressure there. But when she put her hand up underneath and did that, I couldn't not orgasm. So I would say this, that just trying different positions isn't all. I mean, that's definitely part of it, but like,
Mhm.
try to touch, the inner thigh, touch the butt, and maybe in some guys like fingers in their butt, like, hit that prostate. I've heard. I've never had that done outside of someone like putting their finger where the prostate is and pressing without going into my anus, but just pressing. And it's like, whoa, wow, what was that? You just pushed some kind of special button.
There's a button. That's awesome.
Yeah, and skill makes a difference. Excuse me, I just took a drink of coffee. Like clearly that, I've had some that like, yeah, they could make me orgasm in 1 second. I mean, it was just like, wow, what in the world just happened? And then sometimes not. Sometimes it's skill, sometimes it's attraction. There's a lot of different factors. For you, for a woman, what, like if you're attracted and feel connected to someone, is that
right? Oh, huge. Yes. And for me, it's just there's a if I have that connection, and it's the intimacy piece. If I have that connection with someone, especially having dated, if we dated for a while, it's the communication and the flirting and the intimacy piece of holding hands or touching each other, when you're riding in a car, or just the constant. And physical touch is a huge deal to me. And I'm not talking about just sexual physical touch, but the intimacy of someone holding your hand or stroking your hair or pulling you in close. Hugs are, oh my gosh, hugs are a big deal to me. Like I could just lose myself in an amazing hug and feel that connection with someone. And so those things leading up to a sexual encounter make it so much more exciting and pleasurable than just, but on the other side of it is, I think I think the connection is the piece. And there, if whether it's you're flirting over text or, whatever it is leading up to seeing each other, that can be a turn on too. And that can be, lead to immediate, you've got to have each other kind of a feeling. Whereas there's the other side of it of spending time together and just holding hands and touching each other and then letting it build. So there's two different types of want to what you want to call it, but foreplay, I guess, is, for lack of a better word, it's not the sexual piece, it's the intimacy piece. Or even just connection, because I think people would question, can you have intimacy with a one night stand? That kind of a thing. So
I would lean towards the no, though. I'm a believer in love at first sight, at least attraction at first sight. And I'm, it's funny, and it's different seasons of life and different moments and different experiences. All of that has a role. But I mean, I've been whatever at the grocery store and seen a woman that was just visually pleasing, and just her build, her look, if she'd have motioned me over to the bathrooms, I'd have been like, let's do this, just physical, just animalistic, like based upon your shape and your figure, I want to be all over that. Then for me, which, I definitely am in touch with my feminine side, Pammy. I'm hyper masculine. I'm very A-driven personality. I'm like very manly. But then I'm also, I'm in touch with my emotions and my feminine side, and I can be soft and gentle and caring and all that. That, I guess, that comes from my mom. I had a masculine dad and a very feminine mom, and so somehow I got both of those traits somewhat equally. And I'd say that like I'm awesome. I don't mean that in any way other than it's just like I'm very in touch with my feminine. I just know who I am. I know I'm in touch with my feminine side. But I also have that animalistic aggression that I feel, where, like I said, I see someone in the grocery store and I'm like, I want to bend them over the frozen food section. Like there's that aggression. Though that kind of sex, which I've had that kind of sex, not in a grocery store, but I've had that kind of experience where it was just, I met him and it was just rip your clothes off as you're coming in the door and you just want to gobble them up. And I've had it turn into, now I've had it develop into intimacy, oddly enough. It blew in, blew up, and blew out. She was right out of divorce, I was right out of my divorce, and we were just like, rawr. But like you just said, I've had women that I thought, yeah, they're like they're attractive, but it was the conversation that, I mean, I had coffee with a woman last year and met her through a friend, and we shared some interest in industry and different things, and I was wanting to like have her on my podcast sometime, kind of a thing. And I really had no expectation of anything except, I'm a networker and I meet people all the time. And, I mean, I don't have sex with everybody I meet. So, I mean, though people sometimes get that impression, that's just not the case, and so it was nothing, but over the course of the hour and a half, almost 2 hour coffee, I found myself getting more and more aroused and more turned on with her likes and her dislikes and her interests and how she talked and what her, what her life story. Like, by the end of the coffee thing, I'm like, I want to rip her clothes off so bad. And I didn't or anything.
Right.
But later on, it did turn into a passionate encounter, and it was off the charts, insanely awesome. But it goes back to what you said. I had connected with her emotionally, and the more we talked, and it's funny, I look back over the texts and the progression of so introductory, whatever, and I could see it escalate over from the first date to the second date, which was about, I don't know, about a week, and it just escalated to like, if you look at our first text, it was like nothing. And then you look at the last few texts, you make me so wet. I want you in me right now. Yeah. Where are you at? Right. I mean, it was just like, it turned into like crazy. And I don't know. I really don't know what that is, except compatibility, attraction. That's intimacy. I don't know. What do you think? I don't know.
All of it. I think it's all of it. I mean, it sounds like you hit the jackpot there. I mean, it because it's hard to get all those elements, but when they do converge, that's when it's most powerful.
Yeah.
And the experience is intensely amazing, because you've kind of hit all of the important touch points, of intimacy and connection. So yeah, and then when the sex is good too, oh my gosh, I mean,
yeah.
But I think that's what makes the sex good.
Yes. Yeah, I think that definitely that influences the sex too. And I mean, even though it was a year ago, she had some skills. I was like, what planet are you from? Oh my Lord.
Maybe she's an alien, Timmy.
Maybe. Send more aliens down here.
Send more aliens.
Oh my Lord. So I wrote down a couple things about intimacy versus sex. Wanted to see if what you thought about this. So for women, usually women will give sex to achieve intimacy, whereas men usually will attempt to give some intimacy to get sex, or men think that sex will lead to intimacy. And for women, it's the intimacy that leads to sex. Does any of that resonate?
Yes, definitely. Yes, I do think that a lot of that goes on. and I would say, for either men or women, the more you know yourself, the less you pull those levers.
Yeah.
I think when you're confident with who you are, you know who you are, you don't need to pull those levers. I mean, they're just, it will happen in a very natural way. to where it's not, it's almost a manipulative thing.
Yeah.
And because there's a need instead of a want or a desire. Like there's this craving need for someone
I
to
want him to like
be,
me, so I'll have sex with him.
right,
Which is
exactly. And
which is
yes.
women, listen, from a guy's perspective, let me just say this to you. Don't have sex with a man thinking that'll get him to like you. It won't.
Yeah.
He'll like the sex. Now, if you want to have sex, fine, like do it. I think we can go either way, and like, no, I don't have sex until the 10th date, like, which is fine. I mean, everybody has their own rules. That's fine. But if you're feeling it on the first date, like, we're adults, like, do you, but just don't do it from a pressure standpoint. Weirdly, I've had the experience where I've been on dates and women, for whatever reason, they wanted to have sex with me, and I was like, no, like, I'd like to get to know you first. What was your name again? Because sex to me is more meaningful. I do prefer intimacy. Yes, I like to, cover your ears, children. Yes, I like to fuck, of course, where it's just slam them up against the wall, pin them up. I mean, yes. Who doesn't like that? If we're honest, we all like that from time to time, where it's like I said, very animalistic. It's aggressive and, of course, consensual and all of that, of course.
Yes. Yes, of course.
Obviously that's understood. But yeah, intimacy, you can have sex without intimacy. And I think the best kind of sex is when it's an intimate connection and the sex is an outflow from the intimate connection. Yes. So I guess here's my question. How do you achieve the intimate connection?
That is the $1 million question, Timmy.
Yeah. I mean, I think honestly, one thing is, dating, talking.
Yes.
I mean,
getting to know the person. You've got to ask the questions. You have to spend time with that person. You can't, if physical is the only thing in the relationship, they could be the greatest sex in the world. But if you're not continuing conversations and getting to know the person, it's just sex. There is no intimacy.
Yeah.
And you have to want to know that person and have, to spend time with them.
Yeah.
And to develop that, that knowing, So you can have sex without intimacy, but
and
if
great
you want,
sex doesn't
right.
lead to a great relationship.
No, it does
great
not.
sex
In
just
fact,
leads to great
yes.
sex.
Exactly. And if you get to a point in the relationship where sex is all you have, then it's not going to go anywhere. I mean, it's just about the sex. So, and that can be okay if that's the agreement.
Right.
But if one person wants more than that, then that you got a problem. I mean, it's just not going to last. But I just think intimacy takes time to develop.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen overnight. I think about having been married for 21 years, and we knew each other. Like, we knew each other. We knew our which buttons to push. We knew, we just, I mean, and I'm not talking sexually. I'm just talking about, like,
there's the button right there, buddy.
Right. Yeah. We knew how to interact with each other on a very, even plane. I mean, like, we just knew each other really well. And you don't get to that point overnight.
Yeah.
That takes time to develop, the friendship and the any intimacy, the connection of knowing that person so well. And it's not, and now being in my 50s and dating, I can't do surface with someone. I have to go deep with them and knowing who they are and understanding why, or who they are today based on their experiences that they've had. I want to really know that person.
Yeah.
And it's not that I have to know every intimate detail of their past. It's probably better if I don't. But I want to know what shaped them, what made them who they are today. And that's the intimacy. That's the
Yeah, intimacy is definitely yeah, there's no doubt about it. Sex and, just regular sex and then intimate sex, there, in my opinion, there's just really no comparison. I mean, when love, like, you're attracted, you're compatible, someone's heart for the most part. Now, I believe that can be quick. I believe you can kind of connect instantly with someone and, and end up being intimate fairly quick just because you talk so much and you hang out and you just have so many
Mhm.
likes and, you know, there's and that's the magical part, right? Because I've and it's not like I have this happen all the time. And I'm so, I tell my story. I say things that, is probably TMI, but I do it all in a, my heart, my heart is not to be, crash and just tell all my stuff. And clearly I hide a lot of different things and I change up the stories just a little bit, so that, you know, to protect the innocent. um, but a lot of, the reason I'm so open and vulnerable about my life and my experiences is really more of for people to listen, which, and this is exactly what happens. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm going through a divorce and you talking about your story has been so helpful, because it's like we all have a shared experience, this human experience. You talk about anxiety, everybody's experienced anxiety. You talk about a panic attack,
Mhm.
everybody's had a panic attack. You talk about sex, everybody's fucking had sex or wants to have sex and thinks about sex. So these are very compatible things. So, I hope people understand that when I'm telling about some of my experiences, it isn't in any way to boast or it's just my experience. It's just
Right.
part of my story. But
Yeah.
I've met women, and this is a turnoff, so this is why I'm sharing this. I've met women who like I had a woman tell me one time, like pretty up might have been one of the first dates that, she has no, gag reflux and she's good at, blowjobs and I don't know. I was just like, like I don't
It
know if
turned you
we've
off.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know that
Yeah.
we've been like talking enough to for that to be a turn
Mhm.
on. You think that I'm gonna be turned on that you have skills, and the reality is that it literally did the exact opposite. The fact that you're
Right.
telling me that I don't know, and I don't know exactly what that is, but I've had it happen multiple times, and I didn't judge them for it. I mean, it just was what it was, but
Sure.
I'm just being honest, like, it just didn't turn me on. It's like a drunk girl wanting to have sex. That I've turned down many drunk girls, drunk women, because I don't find drunk attractive. Now, if I was
Mhm.
tipsy, maybe I would, but I don't I don't I don't do that. I don't drink to get drunk or tipsy. And so it it's just not a turn on. It's just not a
Yeah.
turn on when a woman is drunk or when she's trying to impress me with, her skills. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe other
Yeah.
guys get
Well,
turned on
because
by
then
that.
she has to back it up with she'd have to really back that up with some, action, but yeah, I don't know. I don't understand that. To me, that is not the first conversation. That's not even a sexy conversation that I would want to have with someone.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear what he thinks his skills are either.
Like a dick
I
pic. It's like a dick pic,
yes,
right? Like
yes,
a woman saying, I
that
don't
is
have a gag reflex is like a guy sending a dick
right.
pic. It's like,
Yes.
dude, she doesn't want to see your dick.
It,
Now,
yeah.
once in a blue moon, a woman might be like different and like that. But here's what I've noticed. When you're in a relationship with a woman, yes, she might be more apt if that's where the conversation is going. Yes, it might
Right.
be a turn on to for that, right?
Mhm.
Is that
Yes.
right? I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
I'm not a
I guess.
woman.
I mean, I'm not, I'm not into that whole uh,
Sexting.
sexting. To me, sexting's different. I call it, I guess I call it flirting, but I would much rather use my words to spark interest and um that keeping the fantasy going versus sending pictures. Like it just, to me, there's I love to read, so my imagination is pretty intense.
Yeah.
I'm very creative in the way I think, and so for me, no image is better than an image,
Yeah.
because then I have my ideas of how that could go down, and I want to stay with that, versus
Well, it's like when people
versus
say the
these
book is better than the movie.
Yes.
I think it's
Yes.
because your own imagination. And I would be more into, and I love when a woman says, well, what are you going to do to me? I'm like, oh, because I can be wordy, as most everyone knows.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, I mean, I could probably write erotica,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I love it.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
Oh, no, no,
interrupt
no,
you,
no,
but I
fine.
I had, oh my gosh, because it made me think of this, but I had a guy one time write down exactly like his fantasy and what we did together. And I read it and I said, "You need to be writing books." Like I was turned on by it, but I was like, "Oh my gosh." I'm like, "Did you take this out of the pages of a book?" He's like, "No." And then he made a joke. He's like, I got straight A's in English class or whatever it was, and but it was so skillfully written that, and I'm like, "You imagined this whole thing?" And he was like, "Yeah, this is what I thought about." And I was like, "Holy smokes." Like, it was intense.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's for me, the written word is much more powerful
Yeah.
than sending a picture.
Well, the popularity of 50 Shades of Grey. I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard that like the books aren't really literal or literary
They're not.
masterpieces.
They're not.
You know,
None of those books are that well written. In fact, I have a group of gals that, this was years ago. We go on a trip every year, and someone had given me an erotica book, and I was reading it, and I was like, this book was written by a dude. I mean, it was, and so when we got down to our location, we were all sitting around. I go, "You guys have to listen to this." Basically, it was one woman and three men she was dating, and they were best friends. And of course, they all look like Magic Mike, and it was, but the way it was written was such, like, the language was crass, and it was very masculine. And we were just dying laughing. We were rolling on the floor. It was so funny, because I'm like, this just, number one, I can't imagine this ever happening.
right.
But
I've
just the way
never
they
had that
described it, but it
happen.
was no.
I've
But
never
it was
even
just
been in a
like,
threesome, Pammy.
well, yeah, okay, we'll stop there, Timmy. Should
Pammy,
we count
Pammy,
backwards?
Pammy.
Should we
Yeah.
count backward?
Yeah, we'll count backward. We're going to circle back around to that, Pammy.
Yeah. No, we're not.
Okay. Offline.
Yeah. Yes. Maybe. No, but anyway, yeah,
There
to
was
me,
this one time in college. I love that phrase.
Yes. So.
Yeah, yes, I'm with you. And again, that's my feminine side, I guess. That erotica, yeah, I can get really super aroused at just visualizing and picturing, and I actually really love when a woman asks me that, when she's like, when we get to that point and they're like, what are you going to do to me? And I'm like, I'll tell you. And I love describing that in detail. Oh my God. Yeah, no, there's something about that, there's something about that. And I've never, I'm not a porn guy. I mean, porn is whatever. To some, it's a tool and it's useful, and for some, it's an addiction and it's fucking psycho. But I think there's some porn that's like should be outlawed. But I even me, I like more intimate porn. Would be, if I did like porn at all, it'd be more the intimate lovemaking type that I really like. When it's like six guys on one woman, that is just disgusting. I mean, I'll watch it, but I'm like, what? No, like, it's just disgusting. Honestly, it actually turns me off and just grosses me out. And again, it's like, a guy directed this one.
Yeah.
You can tell. Matter of fact, there's some woman, I think, that like she's a woman director. She's a porn, a woman that directs porn, however, whatever that would be called. And oh Lord, so different.
Oh,
So
I'm sure.
no
Yes.
gangbangs, no teacher
Yes.
student, none of that bullshit. I mean, it's all very intimate and yeah, very awesome.
Hmm.
Anyway, I don't know why I was saying that, except that yeah, porn is something. Um, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of it. Um, again, I don't think it's evil, or I mean, some of it is, but I don't. It is what it is. I think that being with the real person, especially single. If you're married and you're looking at porn, unless you're doing it with your partner and it's good for you and you both like it. But I don't know if I've yet to meet, and maybe this because a lot of the people I've known over the years have been religious, but I haven't met too many couples where the woman is super jazzed about her husband's porn use.
Yeah.
Is that what
Yeah.
do you think? I mean, am I
I
off, or do you know couples that
no,
love it?
I think, I mean, yes, there are those people out there and that uh, use it inside of their relationship. But yes, my experience is that, and again, growing up very religious, and that it's wrong, bad, whatever. And I don't believe that
Yeah, me either.
anymore. But I do think, for me, if I'm in a relationship with someone, let's make our own porn. Not, I don't want to record anything. Don't, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
why use that? Let's just get together and let's have frequent sex, and let's have it on a regular basis to where we feel like we're fulfilling that for each other, and that there isn't a need for that. I think, and that's the communication piece, is understanding what, and setting the expectation of how often does that person want to have sex. And I think
Mhm.
this should be a discussion people have before they actually get into a committed relationship, because if one person wants to have it every day or twice a day and the other person is okay once a month, that's not going to work out.
Yeah.
And I think it's
Yeah, someone's going to be
it's
frustrated.
exactly. And it so it's a very, very important conversation to have. And at our age, you have to have the conversations about um ability, skill, not skill, but like, for men
Well,
who
yeah, ED
in their
issues.
50s can't ed,
Yeah.
and yes, and women have issues too.
Yeah, dry.
And
Yep.
yes, and so those conversations, I think you did a podcast, you did actually, with the sex therapist,
Mhm.
and she mentioned in there, or maybe it was somebody else, but anyway, I just remember hearing the best time to talk about sex is while you're having sex.
Yeah.
That with that person, you're saying, "Oh, I really like that." Like, you're not talking through the whole thing, because
Sure.
obviously you don't want to have ongoing conversations, but just saying, "I really enjoyed that when you did this and that," or even afterward, of
Yeah.
just, kind of going, telling them what was good and what you want more of, and maybe what, and you get into a relationship, then maybe what wasn't so great for you or what you don't like. And
Yeah.
but I think those conversations need to happen early earlier in a relationship, before you get into the, you're in love, and you're wanting to continue the relationship. If you don't have, if you're not in alignment in that, it's just like not being in alignment religiously, or I should say being out of alignment with those things,
Yeah.
and not being on the same page or accepting of the person's ideas. But sex
Well,
is a big deal.
it
So
is, and everybody's different. I mean, what I remember, I've mentioned this before, probably in that podcast, but I remember I had um, what's the proper way to say giving head? That's probably a more professional way to say it. And honestly, I guess if a guy goes down on a girl, that's called head, and if a girl goes down on a guy, that's called head. Did you know that?
I didn't know
It's the
that.
same.
No.
Yeah, I was like,
Oh,
wow,
okay.
I did not know that. So
All right.
when a yeah, so if a girl says, yeah, he gave me head, that means that he went down on her. Anyway, um, I think porn has done a disservice in some areas to what is what do we like, what do we don't like. I mean, how I've learned is, I mean, yeah, seeing porn is like, ooh, let's try that. That's interesting. I mean, I've definitely had that before, but there's a few things. Again, this is just me. Some guys might really like it. Some things I don't like when giving head, like the gag reflex, like you're going to throw up. That is literally a huge turn off for me. Now, if you don't have a gag reflex and it doesn't make that reaction, well, then obviously whatever, that's fine. But when they like that, which is a big porn thing, it's a big porn thing to, take it all the way in, whatever, and do that, like, porn. I don't know if a lot of guys I know don't like that. And so I think that's something that, going back to what you just said, is, talking to your partner. And I remember I was with someone one time, this, back again, right after my divorce, and they were doing that. And I said, hey, like, I don't like knowing that that's like, you're going to throw up. And that's not an attractive, that's like a not attractive sound to me. So like you don't need to do that. Some guys might like that, but I don't. But you have to be able to have the confidence to say those things, or, hey, like, stay on the top part, and or don't yank it. Don't, you're squeezing my balls too hard. I'm not into that. Or whatever it is, just making sure that you're communicating. I know that I've learned a lot because women have communicated. They say, yeah, not right on it. And I like more of a rhythm. Don't go crazy, don't go too fast, or don't bite it. Don't, whatever they're telling me. And what I've learned is what works for Sally doesn't work for Michelle, and what works for Michelle, Rockette doesn't like that. I mean, it's just so different.
Yes.
That's why, to further support what you said, it's just important to talk to your partner. And even like you said, the best time is during, now, not the entire time where it's just like, no to the left, over I mean, I've heard of, now this is not my experience, but I had a friend of mine tell me he was with this woman one time, and she was literally controlling every second of the sex encounter. She would be like, okay, two pumps. Okay, pull it out. Okay, leave it out. Hold it. Hold it. Now kiss my boob. Okay, now go in. Go. I mean, literally, Pam, you think I'm being funny to make this funny? I'm not being funny. I'm not saying this in a funny way. This is exactly what happened. And she'd be like, okay, pound me really hard. Okay, stop. And it was funny because he told me, he was like, it was so difficult to stay hard. He's like, it was like, it would took,
no shock.
Yeah, because he was so, it was like, it wasn't just let's make love, let's talk to each other a little bit. It was too controlled and too orchestrated. And he just said it was definitely not, it just that too much.
Yeah.
So
that's
there's a balance. Yeah, there's got to be a balance. Okay, sorry, squirrel moment here. So I for those, I live on the Country Club Plaza, and my podcast studio room overlooks Brush Creek. And it's, I don't know, it's in the 20s today, I think. And Brush Creek, for the most part, is frozen over except certain parts. I just looked out my window, and there's a dude standing out in the middle on the ice of Brush Creek.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm a little concerned that he's going to end up falling in.
Yeah, that's not it. We haven't had that cold.
No, and he's standing in a sunny part. I don't think so. Yeah, he's not a huge guy, and now he's running and sliding.
Oh gosh.
Fascinating. Okay, I need to stop looking because I'm like waiting for this dude to fall in.
Get your 911 pulled up, and just in case.
Yeah, I mean, I guess yesterday. By the way, the Chiefs won. Woo, woo, woo.
Yes.
First
I
game.
watched the game. Oh my god.
It was a good game.
That was so good. Did you watch it, Tim?
Yeah, I did. You
You
know, yeah,
did?
I did. Yeah, I had a friend
Wow.
over and we watched the
Wow.
game. Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not a I'm not a big huge sports guy, but I
Yeah.
mean I play a bunch of sports. I'm just not into watching them. But yeah, I have a buddy that he and I that's kind of what we do, and he's a childhood friend, and we try to watch the games together when we can. And so yeah, last night he came over and then it's a playoff game. I mean, and I'm a Chiefs fan.
Right. Yes.
You know, I'm a Chiefs
Yeah.
fan, and it's a playoffs
It was a
game.
little nerve-wracking there in the beginning, but once we scored and, it was like, okay, now we can kind of breathe easy. And yeah, they played really well. And they had fun with it, I think. And I think that really helped the team. And I don't know, they just pulled so many plays out that were unexpected.
Yeah.
And you could tell they were having a good time.
Yeah,
So
they especially because
that's fun.
no one what scored like the whole first half, so it was just like
Right.
they had to punt, 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 and you're just like, what the heck's going on? But then, yeah,
Yeah.
once they started doing some fun shenanigans, it
Exactly.
was like, yeah, here we
Yeah.
go. So yeah, first game of the playoffs, which was both of those teams, the Steelers and the Royals, the Steelers and the Chiefs were that we were both wild card, I guess.
Mhm.
So anyway,
Yes.
Chiefs move on, Steelers are out, which is
Perfect.
great. Yeah. So I'm super excited. You know, I would
Yeah.
hope that we get to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Obviously. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been praying that the
You've
Lord
been praying
Jesus
for us,
would
Pastor
help
Timmy?
help Patrick Mahomes. All right.
Oh gosh.
So
Okay.
let me go through some of my list here.
Okay.
And just, because I think, people love these talks because they're very raw and honest and, revealing. So when it comes to freakiness, I've had a bunch of great conversations with female friends of mine, and one of the questions, one of my female friends, well, she's been on my podcast and talked about her name's Susanna. She's a longtime friend of mine, and she said, "Oh, there was this one guy. It was like the best sex ever." And it was interesting because I said, "Well, but it wasn't like a marriage thing. Like you weren't in love with this guy like you wanted." She goes, "No, no, no." She goes, "It was just he was it was just such great sex." And I said, "Okay, well, Susanna, what is great sex?" I'm like, I'm a guy. Tell me what the fuck this guy's doing so I can learn. I want women to walk away and go, "Oh my God, Timmy is a sex god." And I don't mean that with like a bunch of women. I mean, eventually, like when I, find my person and I want to, I want her to tell her girlfriends like, "Oh my God,
Mhm.
my Timmy." Oh, like
Yes.
that really like that genuinely that is a goal of mine, not to be with a bunch of women and like be a god. I just mean that when I'm with my person, I want to be skilled and good at what I'm doing. So, I asked her, I was like, "Well, what? So tell me, what did he do that made him so awesome?" And she said, she goes, "He was attentive. He would
Mhm.
ask questions. He was passionate." And this was fascinating to me because this is not, I think it might be in my nature, but it was nurtured out of me through religion.
Oh,
And
right.
she said, when she said this, I was like, okay, wait, like, let's circle back around and unpack this. But here's what she said. She said, and he would tell me what to do.
Mm.
And I was like, what? Because, as a guy, I'm like, I don't like to be told what to do. Don't fucking tell me what to do. I
Right.
just kind of that's just, I mean, again, I'm just wired that way. I don't like to be told what to do. It's probably, I work for myself. Clearly, I like to be my own boss and do what I tell myself to do. But that was fascinating to me that she found it. She said, kind of, she goes, not 50 Shades of Gray. She goes, but kind of. She
Mhm.
said, kind of that, like, get on the bed,
Mm.
pull your panties off. Like, and I'm like, really? Like that. Now, maybe that's a turn on for her, and maybe for another woman, it wouldn't be. Pammy,
Right.
what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it depends on your life experiences. I mean, if you were ever in a situation, I think a woman who was ever in a situation where she was sexually abused or attacked or anything like that, control would not be something um that she would necessarily connect with. It just
Right.
depends. I mean, some women do go down that path. But I think that it goes back to confidence. When you are confident with who you are and then you can enjoy that type of a experience, because you're not truly it's controlled um in an intimate setting, if
Right.
that makes sense. I don't know how else to describe that. Like, it's not um you're not in an abusive relationship.
Well,
It's
clearly, right. Of
you're
course, of
yes,
course.
you're so you got, the safety factor is there, there's trust there, and that can be very erotic.
Interesting.
um but on the other side, so can the gentleness and the you know being treated like a queen, you know what I mean, like just being
Sure.
um romanced, and all of those things, like, yeah, it either way, I mean, it's like, yeah. But I think it has to do with the confidence. If you're confident in yourself and you're also trusting of that other person,
Yeah.
then that kind of experience can be very fulfilling.
Yeah, and and knowing, I really feel this way, and I'm really curious about the female perspective. That's why, this will probably be this will probably be the number one podcast to date, just because already just the conversation is you and I get, by the way, I get emails all the time. People go, "Oh my gosh, I just love the energy between you and Pammy. You guys do such a great job." And
Oh,
yeah,
oh, that's
yeah.
awesome.
And I mean,
I love that.
I need to forward that stuff to you, but I get that. I
Yes.
get that a lot. Even my mom listened to the podcast. She goes, you and Pammy really like do well, talking together,
Yeah.
and I said, yeah, like that's why we're doing it together, because
Yes.
she's female, I'm a woman, and she has a perspective, and I'm male and I have my perspective. And I think, when I talk about sex, obviously it's like what you said about that, the book, the erotica that was written by a man. I mean, it's just different. It's just
Mhm.
different if I'm on
Mhm.
here going, yeah, man, blah, 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 bend her over, blah, blah. I mean, it's like,
Right.
I'm a guy,
Yes.
but so when it comes to back to this kind of this 50 shades of gray, what I guess, the freakiness or BDSM, that's a world I've personally had very limited experience in. I met a, as Pammy, when I was first divorced, I was dating a lot of 20 somethings. And, I was just diving into a world that it was just very interesting. I met one of the women that I met and had an experience with. She was like, she goes, I'm a sub. And
Mhm.
I'm like sub sandwiches, or like, what are we, what are we talking about here? you know? And I actually asked her, I thought this was going to ruin the opportunity, but I said, I mean, I didn't think she was talking about sub sandwiches. I mean, I was somewhat aware, of dom and sub, and I mean, I had a general view of it, but I asked her. I said, "Well, what does that mean exactly? Like, you saying that you're a sub and you want me to be your dom, which I've never done that before.
Mhm.
Like, what does that mean?" And it was just fascinating. She's like, "Well, you tell me what to do, and as long as it's within my whatever, like, as long as like, you would have a discussion beforehand, like, no, I'm not going to
Right.
do anal, or I'm not going to whatever, like,
Right.
whatever it might be, like, there's a safe word, and she just explained it all to me. And I have to admit, there was a hot encounter where I did things that I've never ever done before. And, ordering someone to get on the bed, pull your pants, turn over,
Mhm.
bend over. Like, I've never, ever, ever, ever acted like that. Ever, ever. And it was very arousing, because I, she gave me permission to do it,
Mhm.
which I clearly, even one time I said, turn over and bend over. And then I was like, is that okay? you know, and it was funny because she said, Timmy, she goes, don't do that. You're going to ruin the
Don't say I'm
mood.
sorry,
Yeah.
and
Don't
don't.
like, did I slap you too hard? Is that okay? Am I squeezing too hard? Did I pull your hair too much? And she's like, no, she goes, I will tell you if so, just like,
Mhm.
and it was a cool encounter. I mean, it was very arousing. It felt, I don't know if this is the right word, but it felt like a lot of work. Maybe it was so foreign to me. And
Mhm.
so it felt so out of my nature or out of my what I'm used to. I'm more of a passionate, intimate, loving, just I'm just that type of person that. And then again, maybe it comes from my religious background. Maybe that's why you weren't into BDSM too. Not to put that on you, but I mean, that was just a
Yeah.
world. Pardon the pun. That's just a world that I grew up being taught that that was evil. To be honest,
Sure.
that
Yes,
that
exactly.
comes from a place of those people were abused. That's toxic. That's harmful. That's not godly. Um, clearly now I know that no, that's no, that's not true at all. Though that's one thing that I often like to confirm when someone's like, they like to be, they like. I had a woman tell me one time, I like it rough, and so my follow up question was, a what do you mean by rough, and b, is this come from a place of abuse or, you know, like I really want to know that because if you were abused and you like, yeah, I'm like, I feel uncomfortable with that. But if you just like it, like I was never abused, thank the good Lord in heaven.
Yeah.
But I remember one time I had an experience with a woman, and and this is just the experience. I mean, she was on top and she reached down and grabbed my throat, and right at first I was like, "Hell no." Like my initial first reaction, but then my next reaction was, "Okay, why is that turning me on so much?"
Mhm.
It was a very surreal moment because I just remember thinking, "Whoa, I did not know I would like that."
Yeah.
And I've had that I've had a few experiences where women like will grab me and flip me over and not flip over on my tummy. I just mean flip me over and they jump on top,
Mhm.
where and I'm just like, whoa. Or kiss me like very aggressive, very hard,
Mhm.
very rough. And I'm like, interesting because I'm like I said, I'm very sensual and sweet and tickles and like that's just more again, maybe it comes from my religious upbringing where I feel like that's more appropriate. I don't know.
Right. Well, and you probably were taught, how to treat a woman
Yeah,
growing up, and, that crosses a line that you've known, which is totally fine. I mean, I'm not I don't I had a guy put his hands on my throat one time, and I immediately shut it down. I was like, "No."
oh, interesting.
That's,
Was he
yeah, I
apologetic?
mean, yes, and it wasn't super hard, but I just told him, I said, "No, we're not doing that." And for me, I mean, I'm little, and so and he was a pretty big guy, and I was like, it just didn't feel safe to me.
Interesting. Yeah,
And the first time, I don't know, it was like totally not the right timing,
yeah.
kind of thing, and it was, but
Is there ever a time that would any other
no,
experience that was
not for me, not
no?
for
Oh,
me.
okay.
Not that. No,
Yeah,
it's not something that I'm into.
yeah,
I That's, yeah. But people have different, things that turn them on. I don't get it. Like, to
sure.
me, I don't get it. I much more I prefer the gentleness, but I think it's a combination for me
What about your
of,
girlfriends? Do you have girlfriends that like pulling hairs, slapping, and all that?
and not that I no, I don't think so. I haven't At least I haven't been we haven't had that conversation.
Huh. I
Um,
thought girls talk worse
no,
than
we do talk.
guys.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just saying, like, I don't think any of them have ever said that in
Yeah.
the conversation, that they had that experience and they liked it, or that they even had that experience. So no, I don't, not that I'm aware of.
Wow, that's fascinating, Pam, because I would
Yeah.
say since I've been single over the last 2.5 years, I've encountered I've been shocked by how many women have expressed, like, "I like to be choked, not my windpipe cut off, but I like the hands around my throat," or, "I like, when you're behind me, I like you to pull my hair," or, "I like you to slap my ass," and, like, it's like, I've been shocked. Like I've had conversations with my
Yeah.
guy friends going, dude, have you experienced this? And of course, some of them are like, well, Timmy, it's because you're dating 20 somethings. They watch too much
Right. And
porn.
that's what I was gonna ask. It was like, how old were these women, Timmy?
Yeah. And yeah, that is an interesting thing, because there is a difference thinking back over the last couple of years. Yeah, that's interesting. There's definitely a generational thing where I feel like the older women, like women my age, are more into passionate lovemaking. Um, and again, there's always those ones that are freaky and they're older too,
Hmm.
but it seems like that the trend is the 20s and 30s seem to be a little bit more, pull my hair, slap my ass kind of stuff. They're
Yeah, and I
almost like the 50
wonder.
Shades of Grey culture. It's like the
Yeah.
era of 50 Shades of Grey kind of opened that world up. Whereas those in
Yes.
their late 40s and 50s and 60s, it's more about love making.
Well, and we grew up, set aside, you and I both having a background in uber religious belief systems.
Yeah.
We were, generation not too far outside. Our parents were the prude. Kind of grew up in a more of a, let me just say, reserved, sexually reserved on the outside. Like what we knew, we didn't have social media. We didn't have all of the access that we have now
Well,
to
porn was like
porn,
reel to reel. Who had that?
right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You had to go somewhere to watch porn.
Yeah.
You had the magazines, so it was a different generation, and we are a product of that because those were our parents. And I think that, we didn't have the access to all of that, and maybe that's one reason why, like, the written word is so much more powerful to me than um images. Like
Yeah.
porn does nothing. Like, it makes me laugh, honestly. I just am like, this is so ridiculous. And
Especially when they're
but
overacting. She's like, oh my
yes,
God. Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Do it
yes,
harder. Stick it. It's like,
yes. It's just
you fucking
it's so,
liar.
yeah, exactly.
You're
It
getting
just doesn't.
paid.
It's I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
maybe I just watched bad porn. I don't know, but I think that's why the written word is more powerful to me, is because I didn't have access to all of that visual
Sure.
stimulus growing up. And so I think that may be one factor in people our age of leaning toward lovemaking versus, S&M and stuff like that. So it's
Sure.
just,
I know
I
that
don't
our
know. That's just
older,
a thought.
yeah. I mean, what I've heard from guys and women, just everybody I talk to in the world that I live in, working with a lot of singles and doing premarital counseling for weddings, and I mean, I sex always comes up in premarital
Hmm.
counseling. Always, I talk about it a lot. That it needs to be mutually fulfilling,
Hmm.
um, and it's something that, of course, again, this comes from my era, but it's like, no, this isn't a duty for the woman, and then no, this is something that both should enjoy and equally benefit from. um, and the worst thing for a relationship, I just had a conversation with a couple last night about this. I said the worst thing for a relationship is selfishness. If
Yes.
someone is stubborn and selfish, like,
Mhm.
marriage is going to be really difficult,
Oh yeah.
because it now you can't be selfless to the point of selfless where you just give, and they just take. It's like, nope. Well, that blows up. That doesn't work. But it's mutually fulfilling. It's not just
Yes.
about, you can't just have sex just when you want to. It's about mutually beneficial sex, and you have to have a conversation with each other. And quality and quantity are those are the two conversations. How often do we
Hmm.
want to connect physically? And what what's it going to look like? Are we, negligee? Are we doing, candles? Are we doing toys? Are we doing, like, those are things, when I separate a couple and I talk to him and ask him how the sex is, and he gives me his answer, and then I talk to her privately and ask how the sex is, sometimes there's not an alignment.
Yeah.
For him, it's like, yeah, we do it once a month. And, I don't care if it's awesome once a month. that's not enough for I mean, not for me. For most people I know, most women and men, no, sex once a month? Hell no. Now,
No.
every day, that's not always feasible. I mean, it can be. I mean, whatever. I think you trim down on the quality if it's an everyday thing, and you got the quantity taken care of, but the quality might be suffering. And that's why I say for those that are in a committed relationship, you should create sex nights. Like there should be either a weekly or minimum monthly. I mean, you're having sex often, but there needs to be a sex night where you really put effort into it. And it's not just Valentine's Day. And that's what I find that very
Oh
sad, that
gosh.
you only
Yeah.
have great sex, like off the charts, crazy great sex, where you're feeding each other, chocolate covered strawberries and doing whipped cream and all. It's like once a year, really? Once
Yeah.
a fucking year he gets a blowjob? Once a year? Like every woman knows men love blowjobs, period. So to give it to him on his fucking birthday and on Valentine's Day, and that's it. Okay, anyway. So but it needs to be a conversation, and you need to in a relationship, because it can become very vanilla. I like I said, I'm a relationship coach. I deal with this all the time. Couples that have been together, and whether it's just after a while, he gets home from work, he's tired, she gets home from work, she's tired, and it's like, do you want to? You don't? Okay, well, it's like, what happened to the foreplay? What happened to the drawing a bath for your partner? And when she gets home from work, there's a bath drawn for her with, suds and bubbles and a glass of wine in there for her, and like, yeah, that should be a regular. When guys say, man, she just doesn't give it up enough, that's what I ask him. I don't then blame her. Yeah, what a bitch. Yeah, I can't believe it. No, I go straight to him and go, are you creating an environment that is making her want sex?
Yes.
Like, are you romantic? Are you saying sweet things? Do you if do you get home early and clean the house and do the dishes and empty the dishwasher? And, like, do you ever just like when, if you get home first from work, do you like order carry out so she doesn't have to cook, or you don't have to cook? Like, come on, dude, fucking, like, hello, women are different than men. They don't just constantly always think about sex and they just want to get it in there. Like, no, that's what men think. That's how guys think. But if you're a guy listening to this, you can't think like a guy. Now, you can, but you also need to consider your partner. What turns them on? What makes them? What's foreplay for them?
Yes.
Not, hey, baby, I want to fuck you like crazy. Okay, well, now some women might like that, but most likely, probably not. That isn't what's going to make her hot in her pants.
Yes.
So figure out what does make her hot in the pants and do that all the time. And I can tell you right now, you'll get more sex than you can handle.
Right. It's absolutely true. And that is the missing piece, I think, for so many relationships, is there isn't the effort throughout the week, throughout the day. And that's why I say connection is so important in a relationship. I mean, to me, even just in the dating world, if I'm talking to somebody and I'm getting one word answers back, just say over text or whatever, I can't connect with that person.
Yeah.
Because they're not opening up. And the only way for me to be interested in someone sexually is to know who they are.
Right.
I mean, and I shouldn't say that like when I'm dating. I mean, it's not. I've had moments in my past history where it's just been we've met at a bar and things went that way and it was great, but there was no expectation of a relationship.
Right.
And so, I'm in a stage in my life where I want a relationship.
Yeah.
And in order for me to connect sexually with someone, I want to understand them, a little bit. It doesn't have to be deep, deep intimacy at, you know, in the beginning, because it just doesn't happen that way. But
Yeah.
and you know, talking about doing things for your partner and just finding, and women have to do this too. It can't just be men. I mean, it's not all on them.
Yeah.
Women have to find, what is it that makes that person come alive
Yeah.
and feel loved and feel um, that they're the most important person to you
And desired.
and
I
desired.
think there's a
Yes,
difference between being wanted and being
yes.
loved. That I've
Mm-hmm.
experienced both. I've experienced where I felt like someone really, loved me or cared about me. But then I've also experienced, where someone, they did care about me, but they wanted me. They
Yes.
desired me. And that's a
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
whole nother level. It's one thing to have a woman that's like, I know you need sex, and so, I'll pull down my pants so you can do it. Like, oh, well,
Yeah.
now I'm not like, no,
Right.
I'm it's like, no, I'm good. I'll just masturbate. I'm good. But when a woman's like, no, I'm not just wanting to give you sex so that you can, come and be good. I mean, that can happen, especially in a long term relationship. But those are moments like that, what people call quickies. It's like, hey, just roll over,
Yeah.
jump on, and get it,
Yeah.
which is fine. But what's the best is no, she wants
Yes.
you, inside her. She wants to taste you and feel you. She wants it.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa. I think women want to be, desired. I literally I did a bunch of coaching sessions yesterday with married folks, and I said, okay, the fact that he wants you all the time sexually should thrill you.
Mm-hmm.
If he wasn't interested in you and found you disgusting and repulsive, like like
Yeah.
do you really want a man that doesn't want to touch you? Like the fact that he wants to touch you and he pursues you and like, let's just get something straight. That's a
Yeah.
good thing. And you have an issue in your mind that you need to work through.
Yes.
Like we need to figure out what's going on that makes you like, oh my God, that's all you think about is sex. Like all you want to do is just touch me. It's like,
Well, there's a lot more going on there when someone gets to that point.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It isn't about the sex at that point. It's not about, there's something underlying going on. And I think that's where, you know, people get tripped up. It's not the sex. It's the relationship. It's the way you're seeing and viewing that person. What happened that triggered you, that is causing you to look at your partner that way?
yeah,
You know, and it has nothing to do with them.
yeah,
And that's where, you know, we've talked about this so much, Timmy, is you have to own your shit
yeah.
and stop blaming the other person for how you feel,
Oh gosh, absolutely.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we talk about a lot about compatibility, and and as
Mhm.
we're talking, this just thought popped in my mind that there has to be a compatibility sexually
Mhm.
too. And oddly enough, that's like the magical mythical thing that it's hard to quantify. It's like wind. It's hard to capture how and why with one person you can be so sexually compatible. Like I've been compatible with someone sexually, but not compatible with them in other ways. Which is very
Mhm.
weird. Like sexually, oh my God. Like I performed like I was 21 again. Like it just unbelievable that we were so compatible sexually. And what's odd, it wasn't always about skill. It wasn't like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
that was the best sex ever. It's weird. It's just no, I don't know what, we were just so compatible
Yes.
sexually. But then, I've had those experiences where very compatible sexually, but not compatible in other ways. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I'll have sex with you because I'm a guy and whatever, but no, I don't want to walk around the plaza and hold your hand and be boyfriend girlfriend acting,
Mhm.
especially if like this is a friendship, this is booty calls. We're booty calling each other, you know. I mean that was in my first, that was last year. That was so last year, Pammy.
So last year, that's not the Timmy I know.
No. Yeah. I mean, that was definitely a necessary, my counselor even said to do it. I mean, if female, I have a male and a female counselor, and the female counselor was the one that literally told me, Timmy, express yourself sexually, have experiences, do things you've never done. I was like, are you telling? I mean, it was just like so
she just
foreign.
wrote you the greatest,
it was the greatest gift. It was so different than what my pastor said to me. Right? Women, watch out for women, Timmy. They will corrupt you. And don't even think about women. Don't touch them. And it was so different, right? So then when and she's such a beautiful soul, but when she said, Timmy, live it up. She goes, have sex just as much as you want. And I was like, okay, it's what my therapist recommended. That's why I'm going to do it, and it was the greatest. Honestly, it was probably the most learned. It was my English is failing me right now. I grew and developed and got to know myself more than really any other time in my life. Per se. I mean, being married for 25 years, I mean, that was the peak of learning and growing. Of course. I just mean recently, like experiencing all of that, going on a lot of dates, having lots of experiences that were outside of. I was kind of like that movie Yes Man. It was kind of like if someone said, do you want to do this? I'm like, yeah, as long as with, like there's certain things I'm not going to do. I'm heterosexual. So I had a woman say for her birthday, she wanted 2 guys and I was one of the guys that she wanted. And I was like, I don't know if I'm the guy for you. And I said, it didn't happen. We didn't do it. And I was like, yeah, I said, I'm like, if gay is a scale, and I have a lot of good gay friends. I love my gay friends. I'm not gay. And there's not even a curiosity. So I was like, yeah, I'm not really open to that. I don't want another guy's member brushing up against my leg. It's like, I don't know. And again, that's just me, so anyway, that is what it is.
And that's what I completely agree with your therapist. Especially when you've been married for a really long period of time and you've been with that one person, that you need to know what it is that you're looking for in a lot of different areas. And I personally, and I learned this through experience, that I'm not going to date someone intending, if I'm looking for a relationship, I'm not going to date someone who has been divorced less than a year or in the process of getting divorced, and sometimes even 2 years, because they need to do that. Like, and if all I was looking for, was a hookup, then that's fine. But if I'm looking for a relationship, I wouldn't recommend dating anyone that hasn't been divorced longer than a couple years, because there's all of that needs to happen. And whether or not people understand that or realize that is what happens.
Right.
And you can get your heart, you can be hurt so hard, get your heart broken by falling very quickly for someone who isn't ready for a relationship.
Yeah.
And, so it's an important piece of growing and getting to know who you are, is that experimenting. And it's critical in my mind.
Yeah. And it's either there or not there. I know there's a lot of motivations to my story. When I first got divorced, I took my counselor's advice and just was, very non-committal and was very honest. That was one of the things which I, admire, and honesty is the best policy, clearly. But even my counselor, she even said, she goes, listen, Timmy, there's one thing that you, in this journey, just know women, value honesty, for the most part. I mean,
Mhm.
it's like they just be honest with them. And she said your it won't hinder you. She goes, it'll be a good thing. And because I
Yeah.
think men can do, and maybe women too, women will have sex too quick because they want to make sure they get the guy or whatever, but that doesn't work. And then oftentimes, guys will lie to women and say, yes, they're ready for marriage, or yes, they want kids, or yeah, like they'll tell the woman whatever they want to hear so they can, touch their boobies. And that, that, it, yes, it might get you to that result, but then there's heartbreak and betrayal and lies and hurt and all that. And so I took her advice to heart, and I can't tell you how many times in my mind when she was talking about certain things, I was like, oh my God, as soon as I say that, no, I'm only available for physical, fun, like she's going to walk, she's going to walk,
Mhm.
she's going to walk. And no, it was the exact opposite. It was the exact opposite. It did
Mm.
not. I mean, there were a few occasions where when I said that, well, when they asked me what am I looking for, I'm like, hey, listen, I just got divorced, so I'm really only. There were some that were like, yeah, that's not gonna work for me. I've been there, done
Mhm.
that. I'm past
Yeah.
that phase. But for the most part, they were like, yeah, okay, I'm down to have fun. Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, this is great. But I had a lot of friends that got out of a marriage and got into a marriage or a relationship pretty quick. I think you talked about that for your story. I was, I'm a relationship coach, so I'm in this world. So, I don't want to be the car mechanic that has the shitty car that, is always broken down. I want to, and I'm far from perfect. I've made tons of mistakes along the way. But one of the things I didn't want to do is to jump into a relationship too quick.
Mhm.
And that was why it was so important to me to be vulnerable and be honest with women, to let them know, hey, my heart is not available.
Yeah.
My body and my mind, my fun, my energy, all that's available, but yeah, my heart is in process of being healed. And so I'm not looking for a committed, exclusive, girlfriend per se. Even though if I'm being intimate with someone, um, I tend to lean into the monogamy if she's cool with it. If we're like dating pretty serious and connecting intimately regularly,
Mhm.
if it's like every 3 months, I'm like, no,
Right.
I can't give you monogamy if we're
Right.
hooking up once every 3 months. Like that's not going to work for me. Um, but I think in that journey, being able to recognize and be honest with where I am, I think it saved me from, I mean, it's been over 2 years. I've not had anybody move in. I've not moved in with anybody. I've now I think I've used the words "I love you." Um, I think that, yeah. Well, I don't think I know there's been a couple people that I've dated over the last couple years where it got to that point, and but then it just didn't keep rocketing to the moon,
Mhm.
it faded or whatever. And so the only rebound, I guess, if I had a rebound in the 2 years, I think what happened to me pretty soon, like right after the ink was not even dry on the divorce, I met someone who also just got divorced, and we had an instant. I mean, we matched online, we talked, I played my guitar and sang to her through the Bumble app, I think, and she literally, Pammy, we'd never met, but she literally, after I did that, she said, "What are you doing right now?" And it was like 11 o'clock at night. So I knew what she meant, and I
Yeah.
said, "I'm jumping in the shower,"
Yeah.
to whatever, and she said, "Well, I'm jumping in the shower too. I wanna come over." And we had literally been talking for a day or so on Bumble. And so it's 11 o'clock at night. I'm walking down to the parking lot, and she parks and she gets out of her car, and as she's walking towards me, it was instant. I
Yeah.
mean, I instantly was like, oh, and that lasted, and it was a critical time too. It lasted from, so my, like I officially, my divorce was like, anyway, it doesn't matter. But my divorce was final. The ink wasn't even dry. So this was like November, December, and January of 2019. So the divorce just happened towards the end of 2019. Matched with this girl. Instant connect. She, met her for the first time. As soon as I laid eyes on her, she was prettier than what she was online, and built better than she was. Like everything about her, it was the we've talked about those experiences where you meet someone and you're like, what the fuck was that picture from 25 years ago? Like, Jesus, you're fucking 900 pounds and bald headed now. But you showed your college picture when you were a ripped stud guy. Anyway,
Yeah.
So it was the opposite of that, completely opposite of that. Very modest. By the way, a little side note here for the women. If you're just looking for a hookup, yeah, show your boobies, put your tongue on your teeth in your profile picture, do all that stuff. But I'm going to tell you something, women. This is something that women need to hear. That'll get a guy to want to fuck you. 100%. You can get laid every night of the week. Me, instant swipe left.
Yeah.
I swipe left on a woman that is putting out that kind of energy. What's sexy to me is more of a modest woman, and I know she's got some boobs underneath. Like, I can see that there are boobs, but she's not showing them, but they look delicious. Like, that is for me. And I know a lot of guys are like this, so I don't think I'm alone here. That if you're putting it all out there and you've got a thong on and your profile picture, yes, guys they're gonna swipe right on you because they want to fuck you. That's 100%. I'm telling you, women, guys want to fuck. And even guys like me that are more the sweet, tender, and I'm not just looking just a fuck. Yes, booby pictures, a nice butt with a thong. I mean, I sent some of those pictures to you. I was like, oh my God, look at these pictures I'm seeing online. And I told you, that one picture I sent you of that woman, I said, I don't want to marry her, but I want to fuck her, invite her to my house. Like, wow. But that's, what are you looking for, women? Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
If you're wanting a relationship and a man to love you and want to get to know you, don't fucking show your boobies. And don't fuck him on the very first date for the most part, But anyway, back to my rebound. She recently out of a relationship. I just got out of mine. We were with each other through the holidays. So I didn't spend the holidays alone. I spent the holidays together, with her. And it was a magical time. And we connected. Our chemistry and our compatibility sexually was crazy. Like, she wanted me just as bad as I wanted her. Like, it wasn't like I was always calling her for a booty call. She was calling me. She was like, I'm going home for lunch. Can you come over? I mean, she thought I was she just, I don't know. She loved tattoos. Just my whole vibe for her. She was so attracted to me. And then, when someone likes you, it usually, if there's some compatibility there, they like you, it makes you like them even more.
Yes.
And so she drove me wild because she wanted me so bad. And by the end, she had to call it off, because I was starting to catch some feelings. And what kind of ruined it for me is after about 3 months of just crazy sex and fun outings, and like I could have no sex with her and have a blast, and we could have sex, and it was fucking off couldn't get in the door quick enough. The clothes are coming off as we're stumbling into the bedroom. And it was that kind of an experience. And then I remember one time, I think somehow she said something about, I said, what about Friday? And she goes, I have plans on Friday. And I asked the wrong question. I was like, you have plans Friday? I said, well, are you hanging out with your friends? She's like, no. I'm like, well, what are you doing? She's like, Timmy, she looked at me and I'll never forget this. My heart just sank. And I was like, fuck. I let my heart get out there. But she's like,
Mm,
she goes, well, she goes, I have a date. And she was a lot younger than me. She was in her 20s, and I was like, and she's like,
yeah.
and that's when, like, the next day, she's like, I think we need to, stop or whatever. And I was like,
Mhm.
I was like, no, I'll
Yep.
do better. I can do it. I'll turn that off. It was too
You
late.
can't
It
turn
was
it
too
off.
late.
Yeah, you
Yeah. The
can't
fact
turn
that
that
I
off.
knew that she was going on a date, then it started fucking
Mhm.
with my head. Like, fuck, is she going to have
Mhm.
sex with him? Like, damn it. And it
Right.
just started messing with me. And she made the right call. I mean, she made the right
Mhm.
call. She realized that Timmy wasn't ready for Timmy couldn't just have empty sex. It's like,
Right.
dang it.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm looking over my list here. So we talked a little bit about, frequency and quantity. That's something you just got to talk about with your partner and make
Yes.
sure that, and it's there. Here's the thing, and you confirm this or deny this. You just got to figure out, if she wants it once a month and you want it every day, there's quite a discrepancy here. And
Yes.
you need to have a conversation and don't lie. Don't say, "Oh
Yeah.
yeah, okay, once a month is fine with me." If it's not that, then be honest and say, "No, I can't. As much as I like you and I think you're great, once a month is just not going to work for me." Don't try to force yourself into a position that
Oh,
that
yeah.
you already know.
Right.
It's not going to work for you. I think you're hurting yourself and hurting them. What are your thoughts
Mhm.
on when you having the sex
Absolutely.
talk of what are we
Yes.
doing here?
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. It has to happen early on, and, I would say, at least by the time you have that first encounter, a sexual experience together, you should have had some of that conversation, but it definitely needs to happen when you are edging toward we're monogamous, we're going to, or and be in a relationship together. You definitely need to have those conversations.
Yeah.
And of course it makes a difference when you're typically, people don't move in with each other you know right away, and so there's there is some buffer there,
Yeah.
to the amount of sex that you can have when you don't live with someone. But even just understanding, if you did live with that person, how often would they want to be active, and how often do you want to be active?
Yeah. And what do
Um,
they like to do, right? I actually
yeah.
counseled a couple and this was odd. Usually it's the other way around, but in this particular relationship, he didn't like oral. He thought it was gross.
Hmm.
And she did. And of course, I wanted to pull the guy into a separate room and be like, "Listen here, motherfucker, you better start liking the licking that stuff. Like, you need to get over it." But of course, I say this kind of shit on a podcast. I would never say
Yeah.
that in real life. I did meet with him alone and just asked him what like why like what let's dig into this. Most guys love
Hmm.
oral sex. Um, but there was, I don't know, they pee out of there, they have a period out of there. Like he just didn't
Oh
find it.
gosh.
Yeah, which is fascinating to me because
Yeah.
yeah, I
Well,
find it the
and that
most beautiful thing
also,
ever.
yeah, and it is so important. I mean, cleanliness and
Oh,
and a
yes.
woman. Yeah, you and I've talked about this. How smell, scent.
We need to talk
All of
about
those
this.
things.
Yes.
Yes, you women must take care of themselves and make sure they're cleaned up. I mean, you can't. And men too. I mean, but it's just you have to take care of yourself. And if you don't take care of yourself, and everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Oh,
This is not a secret.
yep.
It will be a turnoff. It will absolutely be a turnoff. And
100%.
it's yes, you've got to make sure that, you know,
I've
he,
literally been in the middle of an encounter and, we let's just say we switched positions and I got behind and apparently she didn't it wasn't in the smell. I was
mhm.
like, "You should have took a shower. Like, you should have taken a shower." I lost my erection. Like, I
Yeah.
couldn't. I have super sensitive smell. And so
Mhm.
I was like, no, I can't. And she's like,
Yeah.
what's wrong? What's wrong? You know, unfortunately, I didn't say, I wish you'd have taken a shower before you came over. You know, I don't
Yeah.
know. I just said, I don't know. You know, I'm just not feeling it. Let's just watch the movie or whatever. But I remember just thinking, dadgummit, you know, like I
Mhm.
knew you were coming over. I jumped in the shower. I cleaned it up, groomed it
Yeah.
up. And you know, I was ready. You know, I don't want you going down there and there's a musty smell. Like, no, I want it
Yeah.
to smell great. Now there can be a little, sometimes right out of a gym, especially if you've showered and then you go work out at the gym. Sometimes the pheromones can be hot. I've experienced that where it's like, you know, they've come home for the gym and they're like, I want to take a shower. And I'm like, no, the smell that you're emanating right now
Yeah.
is turning me on. So
Mhm.
you know, there can be a
Yeah.
balance there, but there are some things that I don't care, that smells not a good smell.
No, it's not.
Like,
It's
no,
not.
that smell
Yeah.
needs to be taken care of. But I'll tell
Yes.
you what, I had an encounter, since we're talking about this, because this is an important topic, especially guys. You know, guys, keep your fucking fingernails trimmed, keep them clean, keep your
Mhm.
hands clean, keep your breath fresh. I can't tell you how many gingivitis apparently women that I've
Oh.
encountered, that their breath, it wasn't like morning breath. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
fucking dead carcass on the side of the road in Arizona bad. And there is no getting there's no I love that you think I'm funny, Pammy. But
Well, no,
there's
that description was perfect.
but there's no getting over that. Like
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
literally broken up with women that the sex was fabulous. I
Mhm.
had a connection with them, but their breath,
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I love kissing. Normally, I love
Mhm.
kissing. Obviously, I don't want to kiss a dead carcass. So
Right.
it was, yeah, it just absolutely. So anyway, listen, let me just say this. I have to say this. All the women listening, all the men listening, you don't think you have bad breath. I don't know what it is. Men and women, we're all the same. We can't smell our own fucking shit. So here's what you need to do. Every time before sex, take a fucking shower if you can, and suds and soap your fucking asshole, your vagina, your dick, your balls, your crevices, your underarms. Clean that shit. I don't care if you think, well, I
Yes.
showered yesterday. No, I don't give a fuck. Clean that shit if you can. If you're gonna go on a date and it possibly could lead to sex, shower that shit.
Yes.
Secondly, go to the fucking dentist. Go regularly to the dentist, and they'll tell you, don't take it upon yourself. No, my breath is fine. No, it's not fine. You've got to keep your gums healthy. You got to
Mhm.
floss. I prefer, I am a quote unquote flosser, but I've switched over to the water jet thing.
Oh, the water pick
Yeah,
kind of
water
thing.
pick. You know, I use a water
Mhm.
pick just because I have caps and crowns, and it just works better for me. And it's just better oral hygiene for me.
Yes.
Um, but get your teeth cleaned on a regular basis. I know that money can be an issue. I don't care. Once a year, get your ass into the dentist and ask them, how's my breath? How's my gum? Like, how's my oral health? I just, yeah, if you don't floss, I'm going to tell you right now, you have bad breath. I don't care what you think you have and don't have. If you don't floss or water pick, you do have bad breath. Just
Yes.
like, for sure, if you're not a flosser, you have rotten breath, because if you're not flossing, that
Mhm.
means there is food caught up in there, and food up in there for a day is fucking nasty. What do you think, Pammy?
Amen.
Am
Oh,
I on? Am I
absolutely.
off here? What's up?
No, you're absolutely right. And that's the whole, personal care. Care about it. Care about yourself. For yourself. But yeah, for you have to take care of those things. And I will say that sometimes halitosis can be caused by stomach issues
Oh, is
too.
halitosis
And
gingivitis? Am I wrong? What's gingivitis?
gingivitis is when your gums are um, you have like they're receding,
Oh,
or you have some
so
issues going on with your
halitosis is
gums.
the bad breath.
Halitosis is bad
Oh,
breath.
okay. I
Basically,
just
it's
learned
it's the
something.
fancy word for it.
Okay.
but it can be caused by gingivitis. It can be caused
can
by
it?
a
Okay.
bad
Okay.
tooth. Yes, it can be caused by a bad tooth or not flossing or brushing or whatever, but it can also be caused by stomach issues. And one of my biggest turnoffs is, a guy that will drink beer and
Uh,
not that is like the worst,
a beer
especially like
burp.
yeah, oh, not just a burp, but just what if they're not eating and they're just drinking beer. Sometimes that can come out. I mean, kissing a guy that has just been drinking, a bunch of light beer, and oh my god, even it's disgusting.
Interesting.
It's just one of those. Now the hard liquors don't do that, because they have
No, they
more
do
sugar
not.
in it.
They will
Yeah,
knock down bad breath.
right. But beer does not. Beer definitely brings it to the surface. So it's just, but yes, just taking care of yourself. Everything you said is, and ladies, you can carry flushable wipes in your purse. You can
Yeah.
carry a little thing of deodorant in your purse,
And
some
wax your
perfume, whatever it
asshole.
is. Yeah.
Women, listen, this is why women love me. Not even love me in the sense of like I'm so honest, but listen,
Right.
listen, women. I'm telling you. Here's the thing. There's a couple things. One, I had an experience with last year with a woman that was my age. Good for me. Whee! I was with a woman that was literally my age.
Yay, Timmy.
Yeah, yay, Timmy. She was 52. She might have even been your age, like 1 year older than me. Anyway, I remember she told me, like, within a first date or two, I could tell that she was she was a very successful woman. She had like 200 employees, really classy woman. I think you remember that woman. I think I sent you pictures of her, and I definitely liked her. I didn't feel the marriage vibe from her, but I definitely felt like, you know what, you're my age. There's so many things about you that we are connecting. I'm gonna get off all online, and I want to just invest in this, in the talking phase. And she told me, like, on the second or third date, she goes, now, Timmy, she goes, I don't have sex until the sixth date. But it was funny. This was so cute. She goes, but I am feeling this vibe with you. She said, can we count our phone conversations as dates? And she's like, when I say she's a very professional woman, like, I actually felt very honored to even have sex with her, to be honest with you. Like, it really, just a very successful woman. I mean, lived in a really nice house, drove a nice car, had a business that she owned with 200 employees. I mean, she was a very classy woman. I mean, we went out to eat to Rye. It was like my first time to Rye out at Missions Farm, and just again, that's not. I didn't feel a marriage vibe from her, not from her. I just mean, like, I didn't think that this is my forever person, but it was such a unique experience for me, especially compared to all the 20 somethings I was hanging out with. This was a woman, and when she said that, she didn't have the sex to the sixth date, but she wanted to count our FaceTime dates. And one time, I think it was on the fourth date, like in person, she goes, can you leave and then come back? And then that'll be our fifth date. I mean, she was so cute. I mean, it was so cute. Awesome. Yeah, she just had this rule, but she was really, really, really wanting to have sex with me. So I remember on the fifth date, or after the fifth date, we were talking the next day, and she goes, guess what our next date is? And I acted stupid. I'm like, what? She's like, it's our sixth date. So, I knew what that meant. And she asked me something, Pammy. I'll have to be honest, out of all the people I've met, this was one of the sweetest things, outside of someone asking me, what do you like? I really love that. I really love when I'm asked that question. But she asked me, she goes, what are your grooming preferences? And I know. I was like, I was just so, I don't know. I felt cherished. I felt valued. I felt turned on. I felt whatever. And so, I told her what my preference was. Because some women are like, nope, this is just the way it is. I never shave. This, you either like it hairy or you don't, or whatever. Or if, whatever. Some guys like it hairy. So if they're like, I shave it, that's just what it is. I'm always going to shave it. And if he likes it hairy, that's just too bad. Like, again, I'm not saying that just whatever someone likes, you have to accommodate them, but I just thought that was precious that she asked me what my grooming preferences were. And like I
Yeah,
said,
that's very interesting.
I told her, and I'll never forget. She I don't want to give away what my preference is, but she went to a spa and she got a manicure and a pedicure and a wax, and like she did the whole 9 yards literally in preparation for our
Wow.
6th date. And and it was exactly like I like it. It was pretty and smelled delightful. Like, it was a wonderful experience, and I just was so women, if you're dating someone and you're connecting and sex is going to be coming up, ask him what his grooming preferences are, and
Mm.
accommodate that. Like, because I've asked that of women before. I've said, do you have any, like, do you have any kind of preferences of what you like or what you don't like? And I've had some women, like, well, I don't like it all the way shaved on a guy. I know guys often like that. But like, I like whatever they like. It's like, ever since I had that experience, it's kind of something I'm like, huh. Here's the thing. Now I'm going to talk to the guys, and then I want Pammy to talk to the guys about this. So grooming is so important, and I don't. Again, everybody has different grooming styles and different things. I would say, just my opinion would be, shave the shaft for sure. Now, maybe not though, but this is just me. So guys, take it or leave it. We'll hear from Pammy here in a second. Pammy can talk from her and her friends, what she knows from the world of women, but keep it trimmed up, shave the shaft. I would think one or two, either shave the shaft or don't shave the shaft, meaning you don't want stubble. I've had that
Mm.
feedback before. You don't want stubble. You don't want sandpaper. So it's either freshly shaven shaft, shave the balls, but everything else, keep it, real nice and tidy and clean. It doesn't necessarily need to be shaved off or whatever. And believe it or not, I've watched a lot of grooming videos for guys just to find out what are
Mm.
your girlfriends like? What do you guys talk about? What seems to be, is there a certain thing, or is it all over the map?
I think preference is, obviously different for everybody, but the, being trimmed, just taking an interest in your own body and just, taking care of the area.
Yeah,
I think being shaved is great. But even if it's trimmed back, I mean, you don't want you know, wildness going on down there,
sure.
because that can be, hair can trap smells and
Yep.
things like that
And I
too.
don't
So
like
if
hair
you're,
in my mouth. Like, that's just a
right.
thing. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be
Yeah.
digging through mounds of hair to get to the
Yes.
prize.
Right. Right.
That's why I say,
But
women, wax that asshole. When as a guy, being, a lot of women like doggy style, or what, I don't know whether the appropriate phrase for that is, but being behind. A
mhm.
lot of women really love that, and a lot of guys really like that. But as a guy, for me, now again, I'm telling a lot of what I know from my personal experience, but also what I know from my guy friends. But I'm telling you, looking down at a waxed hiney hole, and all that being trimmed, all waxed, is
Mhm.
so wonderful. Now, what the pubic hair on the pubic bone, everybody has different things, right? Everybody, like,
Yeah.
just trimmed down, or a little line, or a landing strip, all the different, there's like
Mhm.
millions of different styles. But when you get down into the labia and the anus, most guys that I know, they want that clean. And I don't mean just
Yes.
clean with soap. They want it free of hair. Totally. What of your
Yep.
girlfriends? What's going on in that world?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's, yes,
That's kind
definitely.
of the standard.
Yes, that's standard. Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, bottom line is just take care of your body.
Yeah.
I mean, do what you need to do and to smell good, to be cleaned up and trimmed up and presentable. I mean, I don't know how else to say that. It's, but it honestly, like, when someone doesn't take care of that, that's that there's a lot more going on. Their house is probably not very neat and tidy.
Oh, you know my
I
opinion
mean,
on all that, Pammy.
yeah, exactly. And me too. And it's like, it's a sign of other things. And so, it's like the, uh, my girlfriends and I do talk about teeth. Teeth are a huge deal.
Yeah.
And, on the dating websites, if a guy never smiles and shows his teeth, it's a, you should be concerned.
Yeah.
And because if they, when like I had that one experience where the guy was missing half his teeth, and I just, it's such a turn off when
I remember that story now.
the monkey arm guy. Yeah.
That's one of the best
It
stories ever, people.
Oh gosh, yeah. What an experience. But it really does matter. I mean, it says, and I know not everyone growing up had the finances to have braces and to do the thing, but as an adult, if you can't find a way to take care of your mouth, and it's just not going to work for me.
And it's a make or break.
Like that,
it's a
really
make
is.
or break.
It is, and it seems so. I mean, it sounds so superficial, but it's not. It is not superficial.
It's not. It isn't a vanity thing. When people are like, oh my God, all these, it's like, no, motherfucker, that's not about vanity. It's about fucking hygiene.
Yes.
And because teeth, this is a fact. I didn't know that, but mouth health is reflective of all health.
Yes.
Like someone that, yeah, when someone smiles and you can see visible cavities, again, here's the easy fix to that. You don't need to think about it, or you don't need to know about it. Just go to the dentist every 6 months, and whatever they say that needs to be done, do it. That's it. Like, this isn't about like opinion or likes or dislike. No, just go to the dentist every 6 months. And when they then tell you after the checkup and the cleaning that you have receding gums or you have a cavity, then you make another appointment to get that fixed. It's like so fucking easy. Now people like have excuses for, I don't like the dentist, money and all that. Honestly, I get it, but I would get a credit card just to take care of my teeth. Like, I would not allow myself to have nasty teeth because of money.
Yeah.
I would invest. You have a fucking truck with a $900 a month fucking car payment. Sell that piece of shit. Get a Ford Escort. Get your payment down to $100 and get your ass to a dentist. Like, really, like that's it. That you don't need to think about it. You don't need to ask your friends. You don't need to nothing. Just today, call the dentist, make an appointment, get it checked up, whatever needs to get done, get it done. Period. That's it. That's it. There you go. Yeah. Cause it's a deal breaker for me. If you smile now, no, I went on a date like 6 months ago with a woman. She just got braces and she was a little embarrassed about it. And I was like, what? Be embarrassed about it? You fucking got braces. That's a turn on to me because you care about your teeth. Like, I'm actually turned on. I want to be kissing those braces. I want to feel those braces on me.
Take me back to high school.
I was like, yeah, I'm like dating a junior high girl. No. Oh my God. No, not I'm dating a junior high as an adult. No. What I mean is I'm back in junior high. Let me clarify that, people.
Yes.
Like, it took me back, because that's when I had braces in junior high. So it just takes you back to junior high, and it's just, no, I was like, no, adults having braces, like, kudos. You give a shit about your fucking teeth. That's super attractive.
Yes.
Yeah. And, and getting some other grooming stuff. I mean, you know, I don't, you don't have to be a bodybuilder. You don't have to be a fitness, guru, but like you said, care about yourself, just care about yourself. Don't eat at midnight, be doing, making a plate of nachos and doing a 12 pack of beer. And what's unfortunate is there are a lot of people, Pammy, that live that way.
Mm-hmm.
And
oh yeah,
and I guess that's just they're going to live that way. And if your partner lives that way, then you both live that way. Then whatever. I mean, they're missing their teeth. You're missing your teeth. Yeah, right. There's matches for everybody. I mean,
yeah,
like someone doesn't care about their
yeah,
body, and then they meet someone that doesn't care about their body. Fine, whatever. It's a match made in heaven. But for those of you that are
right.
single and haven't found your match yet, I would. I mean, I have a buddy. He had nasty teeth, and I then one time ran into him at the mall, and he looked at me and he goes, "Timmy," and he smiled, and I first thing I said to him, I go, "Dude, your teeth look amazing." I'm like, "You look totally different." And I mean, I just I was like, "Dude, like literally, you're a whole new person." And he's
Yeah,
like, "Yeah." He goes, "I finally just realized I needed to take care of my teeth." And he got them all capped and all. I mean, his teeth were better than mine. I was like, "Damn, dude, like that looks amazing." And he had the best caps I've ever seen. I've seen caps where it's
mm-hmm.
like a porcelain, it's like it looks fake,
Yeah,
too big and too shiny and again, this is my personal opinion. I don't like that fake. I don't like a bunch of plastic surgery. You know, fake boobs are if they're if they're done right, they're great. It's fine, but when they're hard as a rock and super over big, like again, to each his own.
right.
Some guys really love that. So seriously, women, don't be offended at me here because I'm just speaking very personal now. I have a
Right.
lot of guy friends that love big fake boobs. I mean, love them. So, whatever. You do you.
Right.
That's kind of a personal thing. But I think when you get into to overdoing it, I went on a date one time with a woman that apparently her whole face was Botoxed. I mean, she could hardly smile.
Oh
Her
gosh.
lips were fakely too big.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just several things that in it to me, they all look the same. It's like once you
Mm-hmm.
start getting plastic surgery because you think you want to it'll look better and you're doing all the stuff. Again, this isn't just my opinion. This is very like a lot of guys, we all kind of think this. It becomes too much, it's too vain, and it's very unattractive.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think I can't afford you. Like
Yes.
I can't like
Yes.
you pull up in your Range Rover, your face is pulled tight, you got big boobs, you got butt implants, you've got like no, this is too much.
Yeah.
I'm not a fucking plastic surgeon, so this isn't
How?
going to work.
Yeah. And how real? How real can someone be? And authentic, I guess, is the better word. How authentic will someone be? And I'm not against plastic surgery. I
Well,
get
sure,
Botox.
sure.
So I'm not against those things, but I do think there is a limit. Um, for me personally, like there's a limit. I want to live authentically,
Yeah,
and
and we're all going to
I
age. Like
yeah.
you can't
Well,
fucking
and I
stop it.
no, and when I'm 5'1", I had 2 kids. It did things to my body, and I chose to have a tummy tuck, and I chose to get,
Good for you.
my boobs done, and this was back in, like, 2006. So I was married, and, but it gave me a lot of confidence. I mean, it really
Very
helped
cool.
me feel comfortable in, wearing a two-piece. We had a pool, and it was just our family most of the time, but
Yeah.
if I had friends over, yeah, I was uncomfortable, with the way that I looked, and it did give me a lot of confidence, and I have never regretted it. I mean, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. But I'm not going back to do a tummy tuck every 20 years. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like
Right.
it's just at some point, um I have to accept that I'm going to age, and I'm going to age as gracefully as possible. I'm going to put the foods and the nutrients into my body to stay healthy, and I'm going to do hormone replacement if that's what I need. Like I will do those things to take care of myself and create an environment that is as healthy as I can be at the age I am.
Yeah.
And,
Well, and you don't look
you
plastic,
know,
of
no, and
course,
that's the thing is
I've
that,
never
and
seen you naked, but I mean,
right, so, yeah, let's be clear about that.
right, yeah. But I mean, when we've hung out or whatever, like, yeah,
Right.
you don't have the plastic surgery look. Like, in
No.
fact, I'm like, wow, you had a boob job? Like, I wouldn't even guess that. Because
Yeah.
sometimes that's noticeable. Even, I mean, when
Well,
someone's
the
dressed, it's like
surgeon,
those are done.
yes, and different surgeon. This surgeon just happens to be known for a very natural
Good. Did under
look,
the
and
muscle?
so yes, the
Yeah, that's the
second
big.
time. The first time was not. The second time I requested it just
Ah,
because I'm aging, and you have to be replaced every like
10
12 to
years.
15 years
Oh,
or
12 to
something like
15.
that. Yeah. Yeah, depending on what kind you get. But and I requested it because I was like, I'm aging and I want them to be, so he put them under the muscle this
Yeah.
time, and
There's a
I'm glad I did
big
that.
difference in under the
So,
muscle. I've seen both.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
I've even had friends that were plutonic female friends. When they got their boob job, they sent me a picture of just their boobs, which is very
Mhm.
just clinical. And under the muscle, always, and
Yeah.
I like not most of the time, always is if it's a good surgeon, always looks better
Mhm.
than the other way. More
Yes.
because they look more natural.
Yeah.
They just look more natural, and they feel more natural. Like, I remember one time I had an encounter, and like when I touched them, it was like literally touching um softballs, like, and
Mhm.
hard softballs. And
Yeah.
then other times, it's squishy, nice, so yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah, and I know that I had plastic surgery. I had a when I was a teenager, I had a nose job. It was both plastic surgery and a deviated septum, but I had a pretty big nose. And
Mhm.
so, when I met the surgeon for the consultation to, fix my deviated septum, he asked me, he said, "Hey, we could, shape that up and take that bump off your nose and give you a little bit more of a, like a squared, more very natural." No one would ever guess I've had a nose job.
Yeah, I would never have
Yeah, I
guessed.
mean, it didn't change. It didn't, and this is true. Like, it didn't change. Like, no, even all my friends at school no one knew because I did it over a summer. And so I came back. No one was like, dude, something looks different. Outside of I got my braces off and had a nose job. So I went from braces and a bigger nose. I came back the next year, and yeah, it was a different year for me,
Mhm.
because I was kind of coming into myself, but I had the nose job and I got my braces off, and definitely made a difference. But so yeah, I'm not against plastic surgery. I'm just against when you start looking like Michael Jackson and Joan Rivers, and it you look like you're having plastic surgery.
Yes.
That's when I think it's out of balance. But you know what? Listen, fuck Timmy Gibson and what he thinks. If you do you. Like, if it makes you
Right.
happy,
Yeah.
whatever. But
And
you
so
might want to ask
again,
your friends, am I going too far?
yeah, and but somebody out there will want that.
I
I
guess
mean,
so,
that's the
yeah.
thing. It's like, yeah,
Yep,
there's,
true.
like there's somebody for everyone.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, so
and
seriously, fuck what Timmy Gibson says about that.
don't
I mean,
listen to
honestly,
him.
it's like, what that's just my
No,
opinion.
well, and this whole podcast is our opinion. I mean,
Sure,
I mean, yes, there's some things that have been proven that we talk about, but a lot of
sure.
it is our experiences, and so
Well, you
just,
said
I mean,
something
that's
about
what it is.
nutrition, Pammy, that I think is
Yeah.
important when it comes to smells and body odor.
Yes. Yes.
Like, if you eat cleaner,
Hmm.
um, you smell better, and your I don't know
Yes.
how else to say this, but your orifices will emanate
Yes.
a more pleasing aroma when
Hmm.
you eat cleaner. If you're eating McDonald's and Twinkies and ding dongs and
Yeah.
TV dinners, um, the smell's going to be different. I think
Yes, it is. No, it absolutely is. And I did, it was a couple years ago. I did the Whole 30. You've heard of that, right? Where
tell me, I don't know if I have.
you eliminate all of the foods that are inflammatory. So like beans and let's see, beans and dairy and um oh no, I'm going to forget them all. But you eliminate a lot of things that can cause people to
Asparagus.
have stomach issues and things like that.
Right.
And you're basically eating as organic as possible. And one of the first things I noticed was that my sweat did not smell.
Interesting.
Like it was a completely different, the body odor was gone. And I mean, I was working out and I was sweating and I could smell myself when I'm, when I eat a lot of the wrong foods for a period of time, my body odor will smell. I mean, it's proven fact that the cleaner you eat, the cleaner your body is going to produce.
Yes.
The fluids and all of those things.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's definitely, diet is definitely important
And I
when
would
it
even,
comes to.
yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine.
So yeah, speaking of, because this all is tied, right? Sex and intimacy,
Yes.
this is all tied together. I would say, so, I got COVID last year over Christmas in December, and, wasn't planning on doing this, but I ended up fasting for
Oh
8
yeah.
days. And 7 of the days, I think I had zero, like literally I only drank like lemon water and apple cider vinegar. I had no appetite at all for 7 days. And then I started sipping on some soups and stuff about that day 8. But it was like day 12 before I really like had a meal, which was sushi. But anyway, I noticed that 7-day fast, though it was because I was sick, man, I like I was just reminded of how important it is to fast. And whether you like at least a day, but frankly, to be honest, I would say minimum. And then there's tons of videos out there for this, like I don't know all the medical benefits, but I just know that there's a lot of medical benefits, and it's a thing. I mean, just go to YouTube and search the benefits of fasting. It is off the charts. Now, if you're going to do anything over 7 days, you should see a doctor and all that. So, I'm not a doctor, so, look into that.
Again.
Yeah, but it's life-changing. It really is life-changing. And minimum, I would say 3 days every 6 months, you should fast for 3 days and just do water. And like you said, I noticed that after that 7 days, Pammy, like I smelled like sweet roses when I sweat. I mean, I didn't have an odor. Like I didn't have, I just didn't. I smelled, I didn't have BO at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll never forget. I was actually living with someone, and he had come home from out of town. I had been out with my mom and some friends. We were celebrating my birthday, and we went to an Italian restaurant. And I came home. He was already asleep, and I crawled in bed. And the first thing he says to me is, "Oh, you had garlic tonight." And I was like, "No, welcome home. Good to see you. You had garlic tonight." And I have never forgotten that. And I was like, I never realized how powerful some things are. And garlic is one of those,
it
it is
emanates.
so extremely
Emanates.
powerful. Yes. And it just comes through the pores. And so I avoid it now. Like if I know I'm going to be by myself for several days, I might use it, but I'm just like, if I'm going to go on a date, I'm not eating garlic.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to eat it. It's repulsive, and I'm not going to do that to somebody, even if we never, kiss but we have to sit there and talk to each other. And if they could, so I'm a little bit, I don't know if I'm hypersensitive to that now, but I'm just, I want to be thoughtful. I don't want to be, but it was one of those things. It was like, I didn't have the awareness until somebody said something to me.
Yeah.
And someone that I cared deeply about. It was like, oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a list of 8 psychological facts about sex. So we'll just quickly run through this list, and then it will kind of button some things up. I think we've talked about a lot. When we talk about like, what's the proper way? Giving head, whether, women giving that to the man or the man giving it to the woman. When it comes to like technique and talent and that going back to what you said right off early on, you just have to communicate with the person that you're having this experience with. Do they,
Mhm.
find out what they like.
Mhm.
In today's society, there is no excuse to not have some skills. Like you can
Mm.
just type in a few, you can just type some stuff in and find out how to give good head. Like it's easy to find that out. In fact, one of the best advice things I ever saw was a gay guy that was giving advice to women using
Oh,
it.
wow.
Yeah, I was like, yes, ladies, listen to him. Like, I'm telling you what he's saying is absolutely true. Like, oh my God. Because I've had good experiences with that and I've had bad experiences with that, and
Yeah.
I will let me add a little caveat to that. I in the past haven't done a good job um teaching. And I know that's a
Mm.
weird word, but you expressed this, I think it was offline,
Yeah.
about an experience you had years ago where, he was teaching you like, no, yeah, like that. Like, yeah, right there. Like, I like that,
Right.
and you
Yeah.
said that was so helpful. Well, for me, to be honest, kudos to that guy, because I've struggled with that, and I don't know where it comes from. I just don't. I don't know where it I don't know. I'm the guy that if I order a burger and it comes out and it's not right, I usually just eat it. I'm just
Yes.
kind
Yeah.
of wired that way where I don't complain. I'm just not that way. Unless it's way off and I'm like, I don't eat raw. Can you please cook this? I mean, if it's something big
Mhm.
enough, I'll mention it. But if it comes and it's got onions and I didn't want onions, I'll just take them off. I don't like slide it
Yeah.
back and go, hey, there's onions on that. And some people do.
Right.
Whatever. I mean, again, I'm just not wired that way. So whenever I'm getting that done, if it's not good, I don't say anything unless they ask. Then that frees me up to say. So I would just say, women, help out the man. Ask him, what do you like, or ask him beforehand.
Mhm.
What do you like when receiving that? That's a great question. But,
Yeah.
honestly, I don't really, I don't think it's necessarily for, for you and me and Pammy to necessarily talk about techniques because it's just so different for
Yes.
different people. What I might like with that, another guy may like, no, I love that. So
Right.
ask, but also, talk to your girlfriends. Like again, because I've had some women that they were going to make me orgasm whether I wanted to or not, whether I was in my head or not. I mean, they literally were so good at it that it didn't matter. They were going to
Yeah.
make me come. And that's been interesting because I've had other experiences where it's like, you could do this for 6 more hours. I'm not going to come. Like
Yeah.
you're not doing this in a way that's going to make me come.
Right.
And again, for me to explain what that might be for me it's pointless.
Mhm.
Um, so
Well, and that's this thought just came to my mind because we talked about this a little bit about being in your head and if there's an I would just say that if it's hard for you to orgasm
har har.
because you're always in your head,
Yeah.
then go see someone about that.
Yeah.
Because there's a psychological thing going on there for you that won't change unless you have someone walk you through that process
Yeah.
because, I mean, having grown up in a very religious world and very, I would just say prudish. I mean, almost we never talked about sex. I remember, oh my gosh, this just flashed through my head. My family, my parents and my brothers and I sat down and they explained the birds and bees to all of us together. Like
Interesting.
it
Really?
was a very interesting thing. And I that just flashed through my head. I remember exactly where we were when we had that conversation. But it was a very just this is how it happens kind of a
Yeah.
thing. And it was like, we were all in school or whatever. So we we're older, but it was very there was no the conversation you and I are having would never have happened
Oh God,
growing
no.
up. And
No
so,
way.
what came with that And what came with the religion, the shame that came from, what I was taught, that translated into my sexual relationship.
Yeah.
And it just, so having, having an orgasm was very challenging for me. It took a lot of work. And it was because I was so caught up in the shame of sex, because that's what I understood, even
Yeah.
though I was married. And it was
Interesting.
the appropriate and the right place to be having sex according to this religion.
Yeah.
There was so much shame involved that it was very hard for me. Now, since I've done years and years of work on shame and letting go of the shame, and I don't live in that space anymore,
Yeah.
sex is very different for me.
Oh,
And
all of it's beautiful in a way. Like
it's
it's just,
incredible. Yes.
it's awesome.
And that's the thing, is like, take care, we talked about taking care of the physical body and doing the things to care for your body, care for your mind as well.
Yeah.
Care for, take care of yourself, and there's no shame, there's nothing wrong with getting help.
No.
And and if you want, if sex is important to you and you want to experience that, then get help.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
So yes, I would 100% agree with that. And that, what you just said brought up, especially for guys like my age, thank God, knock on wood. Ha ha. I don't have ED issues, though I've had moments of performance anxiety. I've had that happen a couple times. I've probably mentioned on the podcast. But thank God I don't have any ED issues, but I also, I'm not on blood pressure medication. I'm not on painkiller. Like I don't take any drugs that would hinder that. Though as a 52-year-old, like I said, I've had those moments where I was like, oh, what the fuck was that? Why did it just quit midstream? Like what's going on? Right. So, I'm an anti-drug person. So I don't, and what I mean by that is I don't want to take prescription drugs. Yeah. And so, I went online and just did a bunch of research on what are some natural things that can be taken to increase my libido or my testosterone or whatever. And one is, being active. That's a really important thing. Lifestyle, your eating habits, that all plays a role in it for sure. But one of the big things, stress levels. But for me, I ended up picking up a product. I think it's by Irwin Naturals. I think it's Irwin Naturals. And it's like one of the products was called Steel Libido. It's an all natural mixture of a bunch of different things. Tungali something. Crap, all the stuff. It's all natural stuff. Again, just do your research, look up the reviews. And I didn't, like I said, I wasn't having issues, but I just noticed something. And when I started taking there's 3 products that I take, all natural. I get them at Whole Foods. Well, now I order them online. Obviously Amazon is Whole Foods, but I order them online now. But I initially went up to Whole Foods and they had all 3 products. And it took about a month for the get into my system. And what I noticed is anytime there was an opportunity, I was up for the challenge. Like there was no problem, no performance issues, no giving up half midstream, no quitting halfway through the marathon. And it was all natural, it was all just natural. And, I personally would say that's the better route than Viagra. But if you have to take Viagra, you have to take it. That's fine. I can't. I tried it once just because I'm a guy and figured I'd try it. And a guy buddy of mine gave me a pill, and it gave me a headache. Like the headache was so bad that like a terrible headache. Like
oh gosh,
like such a bad headache that it like literally made me not want to have sex. Like my head, yeah. It was like, now I got a headache from the fucking Viagra. I'm hard and got a headache. So I'm like, so yeah, it literally was not enjoyable because my head was pounding.
Oh my gosh.
As I was pound. No.
Yeah.
It was terrible. It was terrible. So that was it. I was a one and done. I'm like, I'll never, ever take that stuff again. Even if I do have issues, I'm not like, then I guess just I'm going to have issues. I'm not going to do it. And that's when I started looking for the natural stuff. And I literally just ordered some, maybe in the comments of this video, I'll add. Matter of fact, I will. In the description of this video, I'll put the products that I take, just as these are what I take, to help with that. I find it fascinating when it comes to men and women. Squirrel, and then I'll get to these 8 psychological facts about sex. But I think this is important. I think it's interesting that, like, a man has to be aroused to have intercourse. Like, you like
Right.
if the man is not aroused, like if he doesn't show up to the game, there's not going to be penetration. There's not going to be sex. Interestingly enough, though, women, regardless, can engage in sex. Now, there might need to be a lubrication used, of course, right? Because when at least for me, maybe I'm wrong. Pammy, you can totally correct me if I'm wrong. But a man, right, when he's aroused, he gets hard. When a woman gets aroused, she gets wet.
Yes.
So it's interesting how that dynamic, that a man gets hard, the ability to penetrate, the woman gets wet to receive that penetration in a good way, which is very exciting. That's one of the most exciting things that a woman can ever say to a man. And again, this is all my guy friends, but when a woman says, "You're making me wet," I'm just going to tell you right now, that makes me hard. It's just a weird, it's just funny. Like you said, back to words there. I've had text exchanges, and because I'm not into sexting, I've never sent dick pics. I'll never send dick pics, even when requested. I don't send dick pics. That's not something I do.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, disclaimer. Well, maybe I can't say never, but let's say this. I've never, ever sent an unsolicited dick pic. And I've never sent a dick pic that I haven't already been intimate with someone and where that, whatever. I don't understand that, guys. Like, here's my advice to that, guys. Just stop that shit. It's stupid. Girls don't want that unsolicited. It's an ugly organ when you don't know someone and already like them. So, like, if you think it's a good idea, I'm telling you right now, it's not a good idea. No. Stop fucking sending dick pics.
Amen.
Okay, good. All right. So yeah, I don't know. I just find that fascinating that a woman can be, lubricated with an outside lubrication to receive a man, but a man has to be excited. For that to happen. I find that fascinating.
Yeah, it is. And one other thing I will say is, and especially the older you get, for men, alcohol. If you're a drinker, like if you drink on a regular basis, you're going to encounter ED.
That's why I don't.
It's drink. Just you are just going to it is going to happen.
Yeah, and I've stopped drinking for that primary reason.
It's just and so
whiskey dick is a real.
It's a real thing.
It
is a real thing. Yeah.
And not just that, but like hardness. I know that here's what's weird about drinking, because I, as you know, I'm not religious, of course, and the drinking thing for me is a total health issue. I haven't drank, since mid-December, 1st of December. So, and I just figured we got into the new year. I'm like, I'm just going to keep rolling with this. But if I drink, it will make me horny for sure. Like I literally can be like, I can take it or leave it. No, I have a glass of wine or a whiskey or a shot of tequila, and I'm like, I have an aggression feeling of like, I want, like, so I like that because I like being super horny. But here's what I've noticed: by not drinking and eating healthy and taking these supplements, I'm like that anyway.
Yeah.
Like I don't like to drink because I don't want to take a chance on, like, especially if I'm with someone that I think it might go to sex. Nope. I'm not going to drink because I want to be as hard as I possibly can be. And I don't want whiskey dick because I've had that happen. And man, is that frustrating, because in your head, you're so turned on, like in your mind, you're turned on, you're aroused. The alcohol has made you so horny, but your member is like, sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
So anyway, that's a little side note. All right. So Pammy, let's get to these 8 psychological facts. And if there's anything else that our squirrel minds get to, more mine, but 8 psychological facts about sex. I thought these were interesting. Number one, some people are wired to want more sex. They're just wired that way. I would say yes. And yeah, there can be the nature nurture thing. I don't know. Your past can have a lot to do with it, maybe too. Again, I can only speak for myself and friends of mine who will remain nameless. And they'll even say, Timmy, you're just a horn dog. Like, I wonder at what point will you not be like this? Because I'll be honest, I've, in my 20s, I was typical 20-year-old, went through into my 30s, went into my 40s, and here I'm in my 50s. And now I've had moments and seasons, of course, where I wasn't as, I don't know what the word is, horny. I don't know what the word is, but like where I'm just not as amped up. But no, it's stayed pretty consistent. So, and honestly, I look at it, frankly, not really do I look at it as a curse, but sometimes I do, because it can, especially now as a single guy, it's frustrating.
Yes.
It's frustrating to be horny all the time. And I don't watch porn, I'm not into that shit. I'm just not. So it's not like I'm into porn and that's making me frustrated and horny. No, I just wake up like that. I just am like that. And so when I watched this video and the psychologist said, some people are just wired to want more sex. I was like, yeah, like, and that's me. Raise my hand.
Yes.
And so going back to compatibility, for me, I would need to be with someone who could, accommodate that gleefully or share in that wiring, where they enjoy
Yes.
sex too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've found that I'm wired that way too, as far as, I like frequent sex. I mean,
Yeah.
I was dating someone, and it was twice a day sometimes, but it was
Wow.
daily. Yeah, it
Gosh.
was, I mean, and it was it was awesome. Like, I wanted it. There was never a moment I didn't want to.
Yeah.
And so, and I think the older I get, or I guess as I've grown and experienced, and become more aware of who I am, and freer when it comes to my sexual lifestyle and things like that, that I've I've realized that that's who I am.
Yeah.
That is a part. I am wired that way.
Yeah.
I've always been that wired that way. I just wasn't able to act on it
Sure.
in or even, I always had another filter I had to go through with the
Sure.
religion and everything. But
Sure.
yes, it's definitely,
Religion has fucked up a lot of people sexually.
yes,
And that's a
absolutely.
true statement. I talked to a
Yeah.
friend of mine that's a psychologist, and he said, "Oh gosh, Timmy, some of the most dysfunctional sex dysfunctional people with dysfunctions in sex area, whatever, are from the church.
Yeah.
It's that guilt and shame. Like me, I'm
Yes.
single.
Yeah.
I live very single. I act single. When I say no guilt, like, no, I'm not burying I kind of have, no,
Right.
no, that woman that right after I got divorced and we had that fling, no, that was a gift.
Yeah.
It was therapy.
Yeah.
It was awesome. If I went back, I'd do it again. Like,
Yeah.
it was unbelievable. Oh my gosh. As soon as I got rid of that religious bullshit, the freedom, oh my gosh, to be
Yeah.
free from guilt and shame, because people
Yes.
attribute it to, well, I want to make sure I'm honoring God. Listen, listen to me, everybody. God, if there is one, which I believe there is, God does not care what you do with your pee-pee consensually. God does not care what you do with your pee-pee as long as it's consensual. God does not care. There's no
Yes.
rules around it. Yes, I believe in, purity and modesty. Well, of course, I believe in those concepts, right? I believe there's like a general thing that the whole world would agree with, most likely. But no, especially that right-wing fundamental evangelical type version, is toxic, it is damaging, it is traumatic, it is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another topic.
Agree.
But yeah,
Yes.
I mean, am I Do you
Oh,
feel the same way from?
absolutely,
Okay.
I do absolutely agree with you.
Yeah. All right. Second one is here. So back into the wiring. Yeah. Some people are just wired that way. So, you know, don't ever shame if you're with someone or whatever, don't shame them for if they're super horny or whatever. Like that, they are wired that way. That'd be like, you
Mhm.
know, like making fun of someone that has red hair. Like they were fucking born with red hair, you moron. Like, like that just is what it is. You know, it's the same thing. It's just
Mhm.
some people are wired that way. Now, if it comes from an unhealthy place and they're watching a bunch of porn and all, okay, like yeah, that's a whole nother topic that we don't need to get into. But yes, if as long as it's not coming out of a dysfunctional, broken place,
Right, right.
some people are just I don't need to look at porn to be horny. I'm just horny.
Mhm.
You know,
Yes.
it's just I don't need even to see a woman to be horny. I just wake up and I'm there. All right. So number two, I thought that this is a very just practical thing. This is lower cholesterol improves sexual function.
Mhm.
You know, when people are on blood pressure medication and cholesterol stuff, I'm like, it can fuck up that shit. Like
Yeah.
that's one reason why. So I had high blood pressure a few years back, and I knew what it was because I knew I was eating. I knew what it was. Like I knew, and I told the doctor I was like, "There's no way on God's green earth I'm going on high blood pressure medication. First, I'm gonna try to give me a month. Like let me just see if I can make some changes and deal with this." And sure enough, went back a month later, it was normal. But I
Oh,
had to,
wow, nice. Yeah.
I had to
Yeah.
remove some of the sodium, and I mean, I had to make some changes. I had to do a little bit more cardio. I mean, I just made
Mhm.
some adjustments, and it was great, because the
Yes.
high blood pressure medication will definitely give you ED. And again, I just
Mhm.
don't want any part of ED. Like I just don't want any
Yeah.
part, especially right. I'm wired very sexual, so I
Right.
need my thing working
Yes.
because my thing is definitely attached to my confidence level. I can tell you that for sure. And so it's something I'm very, very, very keen on keeping keeping it working.
Yeah.
Uh, so going back to what Pammy said, your lifestyle, your eating habits, all that play a role in it big time. All right. Third
And
one.
your
Yeah, go ahead.
and hormone imbalance can also create, obviously, I mean, we think about testosterone in men, but hormone imbalance in women, when for me going through menopause and I went for years without hormone replacement because I didn't want someone to say, here, take this and never talk to me again.
Yeah.
I wanted someone who could manage it. And I will tell you that
Sometimes you need
it
it
has,
though.
yes,
That
absolutely.
hormone
And
replacement.
but it affected, I had high blood pressure, my cholesterol was high. And as soon as we started the hormones, everything went back to normal.
Wow.
And
Women
so,
are
yeah.
bodies are way more complicated than men, I feel.
Oh gosh, yes. Yeah,
With your, I mean,
they are.
yeah, childbearing stuff
Oh,
and just
yeah.
all the menopause. I mean, men go through what we call the
Yes.
midlife crisis, which I went through. Um, but women go through menopause, and yeah. So let me say this. Let me be very sympathetic or empathetic in this part. Women, listen, I can sympathize. If your chemicals are off, you just don't desire sex. Listen, I
Mhm.
I feel for you. Like I genuinely feel for you. That would be frustrating. But like Pammy said, get it looked into. Don't be ashamed to go get help and figure out
Mhm.
what you might need to do to get those hormones balanced out so that you can have a healthy sex drive and not become,
Yeah.
bitter and jaded about it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, number
Eh,
3. Oh, go ahead. Did you have something else?
no, yeah, I was gonna
Okay.
say, what's number 3?
Number 3, men are wired to pay attention to their partner during sex. That's interesting. And then you said something about,
Mhm.
they want to, but they just might not know how. And I was like, "Ooh, okay." Because that
Yes,
comment,
yes.
I was like, "Really? That surprises me." Like I wouldn't
Mhm.
have thought like these psychological facts that men are wired to pay attention to their partner. And here's what I would say. You talk to any man, and in their wish or hope is
Mhm.
that they would make their partner orgasm. I know for me, I don't want to have sex and I just orgasm. Like I
Right.
never ever like unless it's just a quickie and do me a favor kind of a thing that can happen. But 99.9% of the time, if I'm going to engage in intimacy with someone, I will make them orgasm first. Like that's a goal. Now, sometimes that's more difficult. Some women, man, dear Lord, Pammy, and I'll be honest that I hated it. I was not happy, an hour in, and I'm like, still can't make it happen. Because then I'm starting to doubt my skills. I'm like, well, dear Lord, this always works on all the other women, and that sounds terrible. Like I don't sleep around any like that, but I'm just saying, like, I've had experiences. I'm compiling them all into this conversation.
Yeah.
But I've had some experiences where, I mean, you just make out with them and they do. And it's like, wow, I'm a good kisser. But then other times, I mean, you can be stimulating the actual clitoris and it's just not happening.
Yes. And and a lot of times that has nothing to do with you, Timmy. You know what I mean? Like that has, where are they in their headspace? And what is their experience been like? I mean, you don't know everything that someone has experienced or what they're thinking.
Yeah.
When, and that's why, when we first started this conversation, intimacy in a long-term relationship is so important, because then you can talk about those things. But when you're just having fun, or, you can't predict where that person is going to come from because you don't know them that well.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it can be frustrating, but it's also, you can't take it personal because it might be them.
Yes. And this thought just popped into my head out of left field. I think, well, it's based upon what you said. You had the hormone issues and you went in and got the hormone replacement and just resolved a lot of those issues. Here's what I would challenge. I would challenge this thinking. If someone says, well, I'm just not sexual, or I just don't have a high sex drive, or whatever it might be. I would even say, like, people that say, if you're not happy with something, or if something isn't at a level that you would wish for, in other words, if you could snap your fingers and make it a certain way, then I would encourage you to pursue and make an effort to make it that way. The problem is yes, it might be challenging. It might mean that you need to start exercising. It might mean that you need to change your diet a little bit. It might mean that you need to get hormone replacement. It might mean that you need to do something. Don't just accept ED. Don't just accept a low sex drive. Just don't accept that it quits halfway in the marathon.
Right.
Just don't accept that. This is just my advice. Again, take it or leave it. I would not accept that. If it ain't working, fuck no. We're going to figure this shit out and get this thing working again. I am not going to accept, well, this is just what it is, because especially if you're in a partnership, hell to the no.
Right.
No, because then you're forcing your partner to accept you. No.
We have access to too much. It's out there. I mean, and yes, you want to go to someone who'll help you in a very healthy manner. You don't want to just, go get drugs off the street for this, but
right.
I mean, you want someone to guide you through the process. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, there's just too much.
Where do you get your pills? Chad down on 5th and Main. He wears a black trench coat.
Mexico once a year.
Yeah, that's right. Mexico has them good drugs.
Yeah. But yeah, there's no excuses for it, honestly.
Yeah. There really is. Yes, I just couldn't. I can't. Whatever. If you need to make more money, then looking to make that happen. If you need more, whatever, I just really believe, if you need to lose weight, whatever it is, if you want to, whatever you do, but if there's anything that you desire, don't just accept it unless you really are okay with it. Some things, here's the thing, some things you have to accept because it literally is what it is. The only problem is, I think sometimes, I remember talking to somebody, just high blood pressure runs in my family, and I had to go on blood pressure medication as they're stuffing their mouth with, pepperoni pizza and Twinkies and ding dongs. And I'm thinking, don't you think it's possible that your diet might have something to do with it? So I'm big on that. I'm not nope, just take a pill and let it fix it and keep drinking beer every night.
Right.
Hey, consider making some changes to, that's just me though. Again, I just value that. And that's something I value in another human. If I meet someone that are no, man, this is just what it is. I'm like, I mean,
Mhm.
maybe, and I'm okay with that if that is truly the truth. If you've tried everything, exhausted
Yeah.
all other resources and whatever, then fine. I really am fine. If that is
Mhm.
something that helps you, do it. But
Yeah.
don't be so quick to give in. Don't be so quick to
Exactly,
or
yeah.
give up is what I would say.
Right, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and there's, there can be major you can be having a more serious health issue. I won't say who, but, um, an older gentleman had to have a stent put in,
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
um, because of the blockage or whatever,
sure.
and the doctor told him that it would help with ED. So, the heart not being able to pump blood properly through the body was actually a cause of ED.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just there's so many different things, but like you said, don't give up, don't give in, don't let it just be what it is. I mean, yes, there are extenuating circumstances and everything that we're saying, there's always that, that special case, that
Sure.
contradicts everything we're saying here, but if it's in your power to make a change, do it.
Yeah. Yeah. This what I'm going to say next is I don't know if the right word is maybe anecdotal. In other words, like someone dies and they say they saw the light and they come back and then so
Mhm.
heaven's real. It's like that doesn't necessarily mean that just because of your experience doesn't mean because
Right.
if it's not a shared experience. But I can say this: this is something I noticed and I was very aware of this. My 7 day because I had COVID, my 7 day forced fast pre pre 7 day fast. My arousals were fine, everything it was fine, but all I can say is this, my post maybe it's COVID, maybe COVID what did it to me. I think it was the fast. That coming off that 7 day fast, which during COVID, a Victoria's Secret model could have showed up at my door naked and I would have said, "No."
Right.
No,
Yeah.
no. There's no interest, there's no, like it can't happen. Like I'm just so far no. But what I can say is either I don't know this, either COVID or the 7 day fast, I came out of that way more amped up. So I went
Mhm.
from somewhat amped, some normal,
Yeah.
normal for Timmy, normal, but that 7 day fast or COVID, when I came out of that, it's kind of crazy. I
Mhm.
don't know. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. Right? It could have been COVID that did it to me. I really don't know. But I found it very fascinating to go through that and then to come out on the other side. And it's a noticeable difference of arousal that have been very fascinated by.
Yeah.
So who knows what that is? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say, if you eat a bunch of shit and crap and whatever, try
Yeah.
that 3 day fast I'm talking about. Maybe it'll clean out your system and I don't know. Maybe it'll do something for you.
Yeah.
Who knows? All right, the fourth one, which this one I really, gosh, I would not have seen this one coming. 8 psychological facts about sex. Men feel pressured to have sex early in a relationship. I don't know what I think about that because part of me would
Yeah.
go, I don't, I'm trying to think. Now, there have been times I've felt pressured. I mean, where I felt she wanted to be intimate and I wasn't ready yet.
Mhm.
For again, I don't go figure that out. I have no idea. Other times,
Well, and it,
I don't know.
it could. I wonder if it has something to do with the intimacy piece of it. How we talked earlier about women use sex for intimacy, or women used in.
Yeah, they
How
use
do we?
sex to get intimacy,
Yes,
and yeah,
and
and a
yes.
man will
So
say, I want to try to be intimate so that you'll have sex with me."
yes.
Yeah,
So I wonder if that is part of it in some cases where women are so wanting to be in a relationship with someone that they're using they're pulling that lever of sex for intimacy
yeah,
um earlier, in a relationship than a man would, because they want that connection.
Yeah.
And then it's, it's almost like okay, I've got him here, now he'll like me, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, that's the only, I don't know, I can't think of any other scenario that would be a reason for that one being on the list.
And it was, it was very exciting with that, that woman that was my age that said she didn't have sex until the 6th date or whatever. There was something exciting about that journey with her, especially with her eagerness of wanting to hurry up and get these dates,
Yeah.
3 dates in 2 days. I mean, it was cute. It was funny. It was flirtatious. It was, whatever it was. There was something about it that was flattering, because I know how men's minds are, because I'm a man, that, anytime I've talked to a woman and gone on some dates and she said, hey, hopefully you're okay waiting to have sex, that always throws me a little bit, because I'm like, well, how long? Like, I'm not going to date you for 6 months and not engage in intimacy. Like, we might as well end this now. Now, I hope I don't sound like a douche saying this, but that's just how I feel. Like, and especially if it's a religious thing, I'm like, okay, clearly there's no way I'm going to go down this road with you. You have a lot of hangups around sex if you're religious. But when I had this person say this to me, I figured, I'm 52 at this point, so I don't give a fuck. And so I said, well, do you mean like 6 months, kind of like, what are you saying? Because I'll just tell you right now, like, this is our last date, that if that's what you're saying, I have no interest in hanging out with you as a buddy for the next 6 months. But I'm also like, I hadn't even kissed this girl yet. I'm like, I don't need to kiss you on the first date and then touch your boobs on the second date and then have sex on the third date. Like, I don't have that. I really don't have any rules. I don't have a rule. I've seen women for months and didn't have sex, and I've had a first date and had sex. So I clearly don't have a rule. Though now I don't want to have sex on the first date. It's like, I want to get to know you. Like, I want to, let's hang, so I'm even like, the first date, no, I have zero expectations of having sex. But like I said, no, I'm not interested in waiting forever either. What are your thoughts on that? Am I a douche for thinking this?
Not at all. I mean, not in my opinion. I think because sex is a very important element to a relationship, that I wouldn't want to wait a really long time, because I mean, there's two thoughts on that. And there, part of me agrees with the idea of dating a person long enough to find out how interested they truly are in you, and not just sex.
Yeah.
And so there's part of that, especially if you're looking for a relationship, in finding out that person's going to be there for you no matter what. But on the other hand, this goes through my head, like, okay, just say we wait 2-3 months to have sex, and we've had all these great dates, and I'm falling for you, you're falling for me, and then we have sex and it's awful.
Micro dick.
Or yeah, so I mean, like, is it so?
Or micro penis, I'm sorry.
Right. So is it, I mean, what do you do at that point? It's like, it's hard.
It's a little mixed emotion. Yeah.
It is. It really is a mixed emotion, because yes, I want that person to want to be with me for more than just sex.
Yes.
But sex is an important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've often
taught, and Pame, I think you and I've talked about this offline before, but I've often taught this. Again, everybody does what we do. We've all had experiences, whatever. It just is what it is. But I have always taught that it's important to not lead with sex, because a relationship is way more than just sex. But sex is a huge part of a relationship, but it's not the only part. And so if you lead with sex, I've often said this, it muddies the water. And I think it is important to, get to know someone. But again, that can be, a couple That could be one long date where you talk a lot and then you text a lot, and then you've talked so much about all these different things, and there's just this electricity between you and whatever, but you've spent a lot of time getting to know each other. But, you know, so yes, I'm not into first date sex, but I'm also not into waiting 6 months, but there needs to be some kind of a courting process where you're not just fucking everybody you meet, unless that's the stage you're in. If that's the stage you're in, fine, just be open and honest about it. But, that you're not, because then it can come across as easy. You're desperate or easy, and you're just fuck anything and fuck anybody, and you don't care. You have no, you have no, I don't care. I just want to fuck. Well, I would, if that's your attitude, I would just say, unless you're just right out of divorce and that's where you are. But if that's where you are, I don't know. I would maybe this is judgmental, but I think that's a little dysfunctional. If you're just wanting to fuck and not get to know someone, then I think you might be possibly scared of intimacy, and there might be some deeper issues there that you need to look in. And if I was truly interested in a woman, I would be willing to wait a little bit. I would be definitely willing to play the long game a little bit. Again, not 6 months. I'm not even sure 3 months, but in other words, I'd be willing, like the 6th date thing. I was like, whoa, that's 3 more than what most people have, but it didn't matter. I was interested in her, and I didn't just want the sex. Like, I really did want to get to know her brain. And get to know her. I already knew of course I wanted to have sex with her. I'm a guy, and she was attractive. And so, yes, from day one, I wanted to have sex with her. So the desire was there, but I was like, no, I was like, no, 6 dates is cool with me. I'm really enjoying this journey. And I knew it was coming.
Right.
Like, I knew it was coming later. So that, actually circling all the way back down to where I initially launched this little diversion, is at least guys, there's something about a guy knowing that sex is going to be on the table. Guys' minds are weird. If we get a no, for whatever reason, we take it to an extreme and think, oh, she just doesn't want to have sex. Like, no, she might, just not tonight, bud. Like it, let her warm up to the idea, get some foreplay, get some conversations, get her to the point where she wants you. And I'll tell you what, I'm really trying to learn this practice. And because I don't lead with sex, there's been many occasions where, like, the woman, she wants me because I'm different than most guys. I'm not trying to jump her right off the bat, and they find that attractive. It's like, man, this guy, does he want me? Well, fuck, now I want him. And again, I'm not doing it as a game. I'm not doing it because I'm a date coach. I know how to fucking play the game. I don't play games. Like, no, fuck that shit.
No.
I don't know. I'm too old for that. But it's how I am. It's like, no, I want to get to know your brain. And they're like, well, now that you say that, I'm horny. I had one girl say this to me, and I told her the same thing back, but she goes, all this talking to you and all this vulnerability, she goes, it's making me really, like, want to be with you.
Yes. Vulnerability is a sexy. It's so sexy.
Yeah.
In my mind, I think a man that can be vulnerable and share, it to me, that is true intimacy.
Yeah.
And I've struggled with vulnerability.
Yeah.
Not since doing these podcasts with you, but
Pammy, I'm bringing you out. Oh, good. Well, you're helping me be more vulnerable too. And especially you're helping me be not just more vulnerable with what I think is a man, but helping me see that the woman's perspective and being more empathetic and sympathetic and vulnerable within that realm, because it's not just about me, right? I mean, right. And it's just not just about you as a female, it's about, especially in a partnership, it's about each other. It's about, that's why relationships are so challenging. Again, if you're selfish, you're going to struggle. Like, a relationship is going to be very difficult if you're selfish. All right, so let's go to this next one, the 5th one here. Birth control affects who women are attracted to. And here's the part, you and I listened to this together this morning.
Yeah.
When women apparently are on birth control, they're more attracted to less masculine. So, like, I
Yeah.
thought when I first heard it, I was like, wait, when a woman's on birth control, she wants a more masculine. No, 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 no.
No,
When a
it's the
woman's on
opposite.
birth control, apparently they want a less masculine. And I wonder if that's because they're on birth control so they're not to get pregnant. So they don't
Yeah.
want a guy that just wants to impregnate them, which would be that dominant alpha male. I thought that was fascinating. I don't know
That is
what that means
fascinating.
for anything, but I just thought that. So I guess how I would say it is that when a woman's on birth control, she would desire a more feminine man, or just not as not an alpha male.
I would say more of not an alpha male.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
fascinating
that's
to me.
it is a fascinating
I don't know
one.
what it means, so maybe we
Yeah.
just move on to number 6.
Yeah.
Number 6, sexual attractiveness is affected by ovulation. 100% for me. I can't tell you the times that I'm like, I don't know why I am just like
Mhm.
lit up. And then I find out later, she's like, I'm on my period. I'm just like, interesting.
Mhm. Yeah.
That is, I'm like, it's happened enough now that it's like, huh, that is fascinating. And I don't know what that's about, but that's interesting. Okay. So you and your girlfriends, this is a question. This is something that will be good to talk about for a second. Periods and sex. What do your girlfriends say? Nope. Yep. What's the kind of consensus?
It's kind of a mix. Some women are totally okay with it, and some are just totally grossed out by it. So, I mean,
Guys are the same way.
yeah, it just, I think I'm past that stage of my life. So, I mean, unfortunately, I don't even have to worry about that anymore. But, um, when I was, I was not into that. I mean, it just were so many more factors. I mean, it's
Sure.
not just that you're bleeding. It's you've got cramps and you're bloated and you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
feel beautiful and I mean, it's all of those other factors. So
Right.
it's but yes, that I've heard both ways from my circle of friends. But the majority of women are like, no way.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, same with guys. Some guys are willing to do it, some guys are not. I mean, if it's at the end of the period and they're not cramping and it's not like super messy, I guess that's a nice way to say it. Yeah, it seems like guys are would lean more okay with that, but yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag. Okay, 7th one. Most Americans have an STD. 2/3 of Americans have an STD, which I thought, I've knock on wood, I've been tested multiple times and don't have anything, but I thought this was interesting that 2/3 of Americans have STD, and it's the HPV virus, which I guess can lead to cervical cancer.
Yes.
So I don't even know what that means. I'm not educated when it comes to STDs. I just know I don't have any.
Right.
Especially the herpes
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
And again, what, half or a third of people have herpes and they just always have it. And I've encountered that, and I've had women be very nice before they were going to get intimate. They said, "Hey, I have herpes, and I don't have an outbreak, so whatever, if you want to wear protect," like they were just very open and honest about it. And unfortunately, I am, and I wish I wasn't this way. It's weird. I'm not grossed out by a period. It just doesn't gross me out at all. But herpes does kind of wig me out. I don't know. And again, I would never voice this to a person in the heat of the moment and they go, "Oh, gross. That's no, I can't," But it's just, I don't know. It definitely is a, wah, 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 like,
Yeah.
oh, great.
Well, it goes back to the whole conversation we had about taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, and protecting yourself and
Yeah.
being smart.
Yeah. 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 What are the, wrap it, wrap it, wrap it. I just, maybe that's TMI. The feeling, it's just difficult. I don't know. Maybe I don't have the right maybe I need to find the right kind. But yeah, that's not a favorable situation. Maybe that comes from
Yeah.
being in a 25-year marriage, and obviously it didn't need that.
Right.
But anyway, okay, last one. Sex takes work in long-term relationships. Yeah, we need to talk about this for just a second. 'Cause you and I both have been married. Um, I would say, this is good for the singles, good for those dating, and good for those married. Sex, it's a big part of a relationship, okay? It is, especially for people that would be wired like me. I couldn't be in a sexless relationship. I just couldn't. Like, I
Yeah.
couldn't be in a sexless relationship. I just couldn't. And no shame, no guilt, no whatever. I just couldn't, and I wouldn't be in a sexless relationship. So there's that. But, when you are in a relationship, you can't just think about yourself, So if you are having ED issues, you can't just be like, well, whatever. No, get that shit figured out. You've got a partner to please. Don't be a selfish prick. It's not just about you. I know it's hard. I know it's embarrassing. I know it sucks, but do what you need to do to get that shit working so you can please your partner or find alternatives,
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
vice versa. Women, if you have no sex drive,
Figure it out.
figure it out, right? Figure it out.
Yeah.
And don't let that then lead to, because you're not interested in it, that you don't have sex with your partner. That's I'm trying to think of just to be sweet about it. That's just selfish. Like, that's self-centered, it's selfish, and it's wrong. Especially if you have a partner that, wants it. I've done a lot of coaching in this area. I've worked with a lot of married couples. And one of the typical stories I hear is the woman said, well, after kids, I couldn't lose the weight. I went through postpartum depression and I just wasn't interested anymore. And so I quit wearing outfits. I quit feeling sexy, which maybe not when I have sex. And, again, I'm a sweet guy. People hear me on my podcast and I don't sound as sweet, but I really am a sweet, tender person. And so my heart hurts for the woman that would go through that. But then I'm also like, well, you feeling fat or you feeling not sexy, he still thinks you're sexy and he still wants to have sex.
Yes.
You need to figure this shit out. Like, you need to figure this out, because I'm telling you, you're going down a road that's going to be more heartache and pain.
Yes.
That you don't even want me to mention where that can go. If you're not having sex in your relationship, it is going to lead down a dark, nasty place that you don't want to go to. And you will have wished that you would have tried to figure it out and make it work, even though you weren't into it.
Yeah. Well, and taking care of yourself, and taking care of yourself emotionally and mentally and physically and spiritually. And when you get to those places, and I trust me, I mean, I've had 2 kids, my body did not bounce right back. And I had issues with confidence. I had all of those issues, but it didn't stop me from being intimate with my husband. I did that because at the time, I was like, it's a part of the marriage. And did I always enjoy it? No, but I continued to do it because I knew that it was a part of our relationship that needed to happen.
Yeah.
But
Well, we don't live our lives in any other way like that. We're like, well, I only go to
right,
work when I feel like
right,
it. I only change the
yeah,
diapers on my kids when I feel like it. I only take the dog out when I feel like it. We don't live that way in any other part of our life. It's freezing
exactly,
fucking cold. You put a fucking coat on and you walk the dog outside and you're hating every minute of it, but you do
yeah,
it.
right.
You
And if
do it.
you break your arm, you break a finger, whatever, you go to the doctor, you take care of it.
Yep.
There's no shame in that. There should be no shame in, whether it means you need to talk to somebody, or, do the things that do bring you confidence, and do those more and build your confidence, in other ways, and the confidence will come back. But you have to take action toward, if you want something, and don't focus on what you don't have, but focus on what you want, and start taking the steps toward that. And if it's, that you've gained weight because you've had a child, well, when you get to the point where you're able to work out, or find some friends, go to a gym, go to a fitness class, or take steps toward what you want. Yeah, walk. You can, you can't focus on what it is that's not working for you right now, because if you do, you'll stay stuck there. But if you can focus on what it is you want, you'll get there.
Yeah.
And the other thing I will say is, one of my favorite movies is Eat, Pray, Love with Julia Roberts.
Love that movie.
Just absolutely adore that movie. It's probably my all-time favorite movie. There's a scene in there where she's in Italy. She and her girlfriend go to, I can't remember which town, but they go to have pizza, to try on jeans, and watch a soccer game. A football game.
A football
game. And they're in the pizzeria, and Julia Roberts is just, scarfing down this pizza, and she looks across at her friend and she's like, "Why aren't you eating?" And she's like, "Well, I have what you call a muffin top." And Julia Roberts goes, "Has a guy ever turned you down for sex because of a muffin top?" And she says, "Well, no." And Julia Roberts will eat the pizza and enjoy it.
Yep.
And
Pammy,
so
yes.
that has just stuck with me. It's like, and I take care of myself, but I'm going to enjoy the pizza.
Yeah.
Well,
I've had a lot of freedom in, a little bit more about my story, but I almost was going to compete in a fitness show. It was exhausting. One, I couldn't maintain it. Yes. I stood naked many times looking at myself in the mirror and like, holy shit. I just couldn't believe how I had shaped up my body. But it was like a second job. It was exhausting. There were times I was eating and I was just putting the food in my mouth and just chewing and just not enjoying it at all.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I don't have that body anymore. I'm trim. I'm lucky that I'm trim, but I definitely don't have six pack with a V going down into my groin and all that. I have, a mild trimmer dad bod. It's not I've not had one woman say,
right,
I'm not going to do that because you don't have abs, not once. Like, it's not once, so same thing, that's like, I've been shocked by it, how like women almost prefer a dad bod. I've been fascinated by that. And maybe it's because, now fitness women, maybe they're a little different, I think, like a fitness woman might actually want more of a fitness guy, and that's fine. I mean, whatever. Sure. But yes, I'm with you. I love that movie, and I love that part of that movie. To like, don't eat like this every night of the week, at midnight. I mean, it can come out. I think there can be extremes on either side. Well, this is just the way I am, and you're shoving shit in your mouth. It's like, okay, like, then okay. If that really makes you happy, then okay, that's fine. But I don't want to hear you complaining about things and doing the things that are contributing to it. That's my thing. That when I hear a woman complaining about her weight all the time, and she's eating Twinkies and Ding Dongs and McDonald's, that's when I take issue. It's like, no, you can't complain about the weight and eat like shit. Live your life, be happy however you're shaped. You're beautiful how you are. Just accept it and roll with it. If you can't accept it, then do whatever you need to do to get it to a place where you can accept it.
Yes.
Pammy, we did over 3 hours.
Wow.
I know.
I'm ready for some pizza and beer.
Dude, like literally, I'm sitting here. I'm like, I am starving.
I am too.
I did eat a little bit of a breakfast, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat some fucking pizza. I don't drink beer because it
Yeah.
gives me heartburn.
Right. Oh yeah.
Like I can't even take a sip. Like I can't even
Yeah.
taste it. Unfortunately, not sure what that is, but I don't have heartburn. I could eat a chili
Yeah.
dog. I can eat a bacon cheeseburger. I could eat nachos. Can't drink beer.
Yeah. It
So,
just I just feel so bloated after I've had it.
yeah.
It's just
But
it's not
you
fun, but
like whiskey, right? Or no?
I like bourbon.
Bourbon. That's what it was.
Yes, and what's so funny is like I didn't for the longest time didn't like it, but I've had some really good old fashions, and then my brother's really into bourbon, and when I was in Atlanta with them, we went to this bourbon bar, and I was like, oh, it was just bourbon on ice, and I'm like, I can do this, like because it's you sip it, and you're not guzzling it. You know what I mean? Like it's just a sipper, and it'll last a long time, and it tastes great. So yeah, it's interesting because I would never have imagined I would like bourbon, but I do. But I'm
Well,
still like a red wine girl. Like I
yeah.
love, but there's just so much sugar in both of those actually.
Yeah, it gives me a headache the next day. So we've got coming up next month is our
Yes.
3 guys and 1 girl podcast. Normally do the 4 guys and a bottle of scotch. We're gonna do 3
Yeah.
guys, 1 girl, and I think old fashioned. So I just now
Oh,
I'm
there we
thinking about
go.
this.
All right.
So yeah, between
Love
us, I'll message this to all of us, and we'll talk about who can bring
it.
what
Okay.
ingredients. So each of
Okay.
us will
Let's
bring
do
1
it.
part of an old fashioned,
Perfect.
and that can be our thing. So
Oh, that'll be fun.
yeah. Well, Pammy, thank you so much, hon. I
Awesome.
love you, and
Yes, love you too.
appreciate the conversation today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. And if you have any thoughts or ideas or things, I've turned on the Anchor messaging, so you can actually go to Anchor and look up the Timmy Gibson Show on Anchor, and there's a place there that you can leave us messages, voice messages, and
That's cool.
so we and it saves it into my library. So if someone makes a good comment, if they're an asshole, I'm going to delete it, not even listen to it. But if someone leaves a good question or a good comment, it might get entered into the show next time.
Awesome.
So there you go. All right, everybody,
Perfect.
peace out. Have a good one.